What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on all social media at MyCowboysFamily, and of course, hop in the Discord. Link for that's in the description box down below. And again, guys, obviously not exactly the type of live stream we were expecting to have today, in the sense that, we were hoping for some different news, but I guess we'll be discussing that here shortly, won't we?
Let our minds kind of discuss our thoughts on the coaching situation for the Cowboys, which, at the start of the day, it was still up in the air. Things were coming clearer throughout the day. Things are clear now. Tomorrow they'll be official. And we'll discuss it all.
And they'll be able to speak on this clarity we've gained today, right?
Yeah. So, guys, as we continue this week, again, like we said, once the season ended, it's going to be, we already decided this like last month. We kind of discussed it, but it's going to be a little different. Some of the streams, we're going to, in the offseason, be a little bit more, power-packed, episodes. And while we might, have to take a couple days off a week or whatever it may be, I know also the wife will not be here at every single one, which is here tonight, talking about our Cowboys, especially when it's important stuff. And she will be here multiple times a week. It just won't be, it might be one.
Just saying,
you might miss one,
exactly.
Something like that.
There just might be more occasional live streams with just Mr. MCF.
Yeah,
that's
either way, we're still talking to Cowboy football over everything, even when they disappoint the fan base and this family to the utmost, to the most embarrassing way. Still, we always say here at MCF, it's the star over everything, and that includes you, Jerry Jones, and you're fucking up. I'm not curse because YouTube will hit me. You're messing up of our organization. It starts at the top, but there's other levels here. Everyone messed up, including the players, the coaches. We discussed this. We'll discuss it more, I'm sure, as we dive deeper in tonight's Cowboys chat episode here on a Wednesday, middle of the week thing.
And of course, again, have to give the shout out to the people here representing, helping to make MCF happen.
Still rolling, guys. We try to do it 365, every single day and month of the year. So, of course, it won't happen every single time. We try, and there's always something to discuss, talk about, news, info, updates on our Cowboys.
Yes.
Even when it's, even when it's like May, 6th or something. Just anything. Pick a day in the offseason. There's always something with the Cowboys. Either way, let's rep the people that rep it here for the family this week. And the guy who's a sponsor week, and the king of the Cash App,
SnugX.
You do know why he's here.
Ooh, huge shout out. Appreciate you, of course, Snug. Not the only one representing Mark Hovsepian up above as the stream boss, fully loaded with 99 points.
Yes. Appreciate Mr. Mark Hovsepian, who's got, by the way, the all-time record as our sponsor of the week. 15 in a row is his record. And you look at the gifting membership champion here, the king of that is Skeptical Fan. He dropped 7 last week, along with others who helped share the love here to the family. One of the best ways to help in the channel. But last week it was the man staying skeptical. I know some of his comments. I've read them. He is extra. Now it's beyond skeptical. I understand what he's talking about because we feel the same way here in My Cowboys Family. So thank you all for repping the boards. Now there are some people here that we got to shout out because we had MJ Fowler, Truth Bomb, Chris, who joined the membership here in the Navy Blue Crew, all 3 of them in the Navy Blue Crew the other day. Yesterday, even though we had a day off, we had James Davis jumping in the Navy Blue Crew. Appreciate you. You got the emojis. Drop them. Good, bad, or ugly here. We rep the star over everything, and there's some interesting emojis we throw in there with the Belichick talk going on. You might see it if you look into that. But again, that's kind of going to be filtered out today. Probably switching those up tomorrow. The Lunatic also.
Emoji for Dan Quinn. Not a bad idea.
I know. I have to find one of them. The Lunatic, again, appreciate the Lunatic, who, of course, did his 4 jersey raffle here on Sunday. So much love to him. Those that won, please get back to us. We need to get all 4 orders before you can send them all off. So, we got to make sure we hear back from everyone ASAP. And we get you your jerseys, the sooner the better. Okay, guys? Even though right now I know we're all down. We're repping that star.
Jason Renfro, Stanley Smith, Stephanie Willis. Please reach out to us and make sure to let us know
we got the other winner. Juan Carlos, we already got his.
Got you.
So we're good to go. And but the other 3, we need people, you guys to get us the name of the jersey.
Yeah, and Jason, I know usually you hit us up on Instagram. We lost access to our Instagram recently.
Yeah, so just hit us up through Twitter, through the DM, if you could.
Or Discord.
Or right through here, either way. We'll catch. Discord is a good way. a lot of ways to hit us up
yeah,
here.
if you drop it here in the chat, I'll grab it that way too.
Yeah, so make sure all 4 winners get back. Well, 3 out of the 4 winners. We got heard back from 1. Get us the info. But that is the Lunatic, and looks like he'll be back in that star level membership here on My Cowboys Family. So much love to him, always supporting all the content creators out there that rep that navy blue, silver, and star over everything, and through and over everything. Like this tough time we're going through right now. Trust me. Now, as far as leaders, baby, there is no Cash App leader right now. It's SnugX holding the board for 4 weeks in a row. Will it be 5? Well, right now, no one's up on there. And when you look at the overall board, I mean, Marco Sepien, one of the biggest, real knockers of this team in the sense of, tough love here, real criticism. And kind of his thoughts again every time these years pass and Cowboys do not do well and cannot even get to the conference championship, Marco Sepien stays right and he makes his points, and he's he made them throughout on our last stream. So much love to him. He's our current, of course, stream boss, but also our current leader. Try to take that sponsor of the week, maybe start a whole new streak and break his old one of 15 in a row. I don't know. Either way, guys, we appreciate your love, whether it's the super chat drops, whether it's the gifting memberships, whether it's jumping in the membership side of things for the perks you get there at all 4 levels, or, of course, the thanks button, which thank you for those that use that at times. But there's 4 other ways that really are more on the Cash App side. If you drop through these ways, not only do you go on the overall board, as you see the list above there, but you also get into the Cash App side of things where other battles and crowns are up for grabs. So, baby, what are the other ways to support the channel here, even when we're on our lowest when it comes to a fan base, right, about our team?
Of course, you have the Cash App money sign My Cowboys Family, the Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family, the regular PayPal link, and last but not least, the Streamlabs link lets your comment show up on screen just like a super chat.
Yep, you know the deal, guys. And also, if you know the deal, we do our nightly shout-outs to those in the star level or over everything level, both those levels. There's a navy blue and a silver 2 level, but then our top shelf level memberships are star level and over everything level. So, baby, I want you the shout-outs here of those in that star level.
Of course, thank you very much to Skeptical Fan, Jason Renfro, Lincoln Kane, Mary Alvarez, Andy Potched, Marissa Sparkle, Dwayne Broussard, and the Lunatic.
Yes, much love. I know the over everything side. I know Seabass still going to appear on the channel here.
Yes, I know he kind of had a situation there, but shoot us an email, Seabass, so we can get the ball rolling on that.
Yeah, we can get a good day for you to jump on here and be on the show with us. Of course, if you jump on another over everything, then you get another opportunity to also express yourself. As we're going to have
I have a feeling you have a lot to say.
Yeah, we have not just after the season, but we have a very interesting, next month. Believe it or not, in February, it's going to be another one of those off seasons where it's going to be a lot of news. We're going to kick it off a little bit today about turning this page and seeing what's coming forward. A lot of tough cuts coming, guys. It's going to be real interesting. We'll discuss that tonight here as well. A lot of different little things tonight. Nothing in depth, but enough for a lot of discussions here with the family on MCF here on the nightly. We try to do this even in the off season. We're still pulling the overnight, the OT here on MCF. So, anyways, appreciate everybody on all those levels. The shout outs. I think we've caught everything up on these kinds of things. Maybe
there's only one final shout out to do, and that's everybody here in the chat.
Who's live with us right now, dropping the knowledge of all night long here in the chat side. So who's in the house, baby?
Rolando Rodriguez, James Herr, Jason Renfro, who, by the way, asked, is there a Herschel Walker jersey? We can find out.
I have to check on that. I'm not sure if that's an available one.
We'll let you know, Jason. So 808 Cowboys 77, William Burney, Scorpio, Mike Aldana, Lost in Translation, The Great Jaspy, Thomas Garrett. We have
Oh, and by the way,
Stephen White.
If you're in the star level or everything level, we weren't sure when to do it. Probably very good chances at the end of this week or sometime next week we're going to do the star level membership. So anybody who wants to get a chance to go into these sewn and stitched jerseys, I mean, that's star and over everything, both levels. If you're in any of those levels, you are included in this. If you're in the over everything level, you get 2 entries for this sewn and stitched. A lot of different legends for the Cowboys. I ain't even talking about the new guys. Those, of course, the new guys are available. But there's all kinds of choices here. 40 different names, styles, sizes. Yeah, go Cowboys no matter what, the star for everything. But yeah, this monthly raffle for January is coming up in the next, before the end of the month, we're going to hit this up here. And good luck to everybody who is in the star level and over everything level.
Let me see. We also have... Where was I? Sorry, I kind of lost my place here. There we go. Fuego bringing the heat. Frame Rippers in the house. Choice Roberts, what's up? Mike Aldana. Aztec Aguilar 04. Burnt Bar, much love. Juan Carlos, hello and hi. We have... Let me see. Seabass himself. Yeah, Jerry definitely got the script early.
Yeah.
Let me see. Prince NY. Yeah, that's about as far back as I can go. Let me come back down. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. House Nelson in the house. He said, never realized how often in my life I say or hear, here we go. Until this team decided to ruin that for me too. It just pisses me off.
Yeah, here we go.
What's up, Brandon James? Orion Files.
808
Cowboy.
Guys, 808 Cowboy.
Clown emojis if you got them.
Get the Joneses clown emojis that we've had there for a while because, well, they fucking are the clown show. Sometimes you got them right there. You can drop them if you want as well. 808 Cowboy says, can't believe Eastside's team is still playing, and we're out. It's insane. You can't write a worse script.
I agree.
If you're the Cowboy, if you're us Cowboy fans, that's the way we're feeling. We won 6, but it ain't happening this year, or at least not in the 2023-24 season. Now, and welcome to Packer Fan 1993.
Oh boy, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us and relishing in your. We
know why you're here.
We know. Listen, you guys are better than us this day. We were the better team overall, but you guys are the better team that day, and we just poorly coached. A lot of different reasons. They just outdid us, outplayed us, outschemed us, and they deserve the win. So congrats to them. But that win is going to be probably short-lived. We'll see what happens against San Francisco. Although, you know what? I don't mind if the Packers beat San Fran and pull an upset there. That's going to be tough, though, in my opinion. Anyways. So
you know what? At that point, that would almost be like more vindicating, just because it's like, again, like McCarthy couldn't do it, they somehow can. I don't know. Vindicating, not in a good way. It vindicates the fraudulence of our team. I guess you could say, like it validates. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, not vindication,
seems a little more,
validation.
Yeah, that sounds better wording, I guess you can say.
It's a late night, so forgive me if I'm still... I have to be honest, I really wasn't expecting this loss to bother me as much as it has been. In the sense that I figured I would be like... I don't know, other playoff losses, I feel like I accepted it faster, the loss, if that makes sense. Like, I'm still in a little bit of disbelief mode, in a way. Can't believe we lost in the way we did. I think that's part of it.
I think the way we did is what's more surprising, but the fact that we lost and got out-schemed, it's surprising because we did better this year. It got worse throughout the year. But the writing was on the wall, let's be honest.
I know.
You heard me mention it multiple times throughout the year.
It's basically a giant combination of every single mistake we made throughout every single game just combined in one singular game. So, yeah. Anyway. Let me go ahead and do these little shout-outs here in the chat as well, because I do see some drops here I want to shout out because I know YouTube's on the slower side of things. Prince NY, thank you so much with the $2 holler there, saying love. Condolences to your Cowboys. God bless. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate the love there. Unfortunately,
and there it is.
They took the L, and we have to
Calvin Richards
accept
as well.
the L, right? Yeah. Is that Calvin Richards?
No, that's Calvin Richards is I just said we have Calvin Richards as well.
I know, double drop right there. I know, I can't see on my side.
It's not a double drop, baby. The other drop hasn't gone through yet. Okay. I was just trying to read the other comment.
They both went through. I'm just saying that's what happens. It gets boxed out here on my side. So that's why Prince NY's comment, you read that one, right?
Yes, and so Calvin Richards with his $5 holler said, so we are keeping Mike McCarthy. Do you think our next defensive coordinator will get a couple linebackers? We can play some real defense,
that comes out of the front office.
I know, but the crazy thing, Calvin, and this is the thing that still blows my mind. If you look through the last 5-6 years, it's not like we haven't necessarily tried, right? Remember, Jalen Smith, LVE, Micah Parsons. Those are 3 basically first-round linebackers just right there. Well, I guess Jalen was the second round, but... You understand where Jerry was going with that as far as we just poached a first-round talent real cheap type of thing. So I just don't know defensively where we go from here in a lot of ways because it feels like our offensive problems are maybe a little easier to solve, but even that... As
we're going to discuss today, and you see in the title, going to talk about those possible replacements to Quinn and how the defensive stuff's going to work. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be honest there, Calvin. I don't think the issues with the linebacker is necessarily Dan Quinn's call. I think it's a front office call. I think the front office said, we're good, make do with what we got. I don't think it was Dan Quinn saying, I'm happy with not having any off-ball linebackers that are tackling machines and going for guys like, Rashawn, what was his name?
Evans?
Yeah, Rashawn Evans, who was a practice squad guy who barely hung on to this 53-man roster until we cut him. So, again, it looks like it's, yes, of course, Dan Quinn would like to have Bobby Wagner, who, by the way, led the league in freaking missed in the least amount of missed tackles, a perfect guy to fit this spot, and a guy who Dan Quinn knows. But no, the front office said, no, we're not going to pay the $4 or $5 million for him. And that is a front office move, not a Dan Quinn move.
Exactly.
Even though Dan Quinn has his own issues, a lot of times, like we discussed, he had to play 70% of 6 defensive backs or more, a dime defense or more, even on running downs. You know why? Because we didn't have enough linebackers. So I get mad at Dan Quinn for not doing certain things and maybe not having the guys prepared on defense, and definitely some issues. But you also seen the issue is he didn't have enough guys to do what he needs to do in this defense to be successful. So it sucks on both fronts. That's all I can say. There's no real blame. It's everyone's fault. Everyone.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would disagree. There's no real blame. There's lots of real. I know what you meant to say, though.
No specific one person.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn has blame. Mm-hmm. The players have blame. In execution, Quinn has blame. Maybe not adjusting enough. But the front office is the main catalyst here, not getting any linebackers that really can do this job once the injuries are stacking up.
I would be so happy if we could just point to one singular person outside of Jerry Jones who's at fault here. So, with that said, baby, let's go ahead and kind of jump into a little bit of the actual, Cowboy news and things that have been happening here.
I mean, I ain't talking no other team news unless it affects the Cowboys, pretty much. I mean, I guess I'll clear out some coaching stuff around the league.
That is Cowboy adjacent currently.
Well, everything coaching wise, especially today, is mentioned coaching. Somehow McCarthy or the Cowboys or other coaches will be mentioned. But
I saw a few
guys that
are I saw a few comments in the chat. The reason I say that too is because they're like, well, if we're gonna end up keeping McCarthy, is there a chance we could somehow keep Quinn? Like, can Quinn?
Well, again, that's something we'll get to that because I got a lot of different comments there.
Coach stuff is all relevant.
Yeah, there's a lot of coach stuff at all different levels. Guys that are getting cut, the guys that are getting hired,
kept.
Cut or kept. The point is, not just in our team, but other teams. We might have to fill up some coordinator spots, defensive spots, or offensive coaching spots from some guys that are being cut right now. So we'll have to wait and see. Look, here's the thing. We know some guys off the board.
Yes.
Like Mike Tomlin told the Steeler players the speculation about him stepping away is unfounded, and he plans on coaching in 2024 again. I mean, he has a great record there when it comes to coaching, winning teams there. He's entering the final year of his contract, and he's addressing the media later this week. So you see, McCarthy thing is going to be tomorrow. We'll talk about that in a minute. But Tomlin's going to be addressing his Steeler situation there as coach later in the week. The Raiders conducting in-person head coaching interviews today. They had Antonio Pierce is the interim guy.
Yeah.
They interviewed him already and others, but today they interviewed former Cowboy coach Chris Richard.
Oh,
yeah, who played?
That's a name we haven't heard in a little while.
I think he played for the Raiders in 2007, if I'm not mistaken. But of course, longtime assistant coach, 44 years old, younger guy, right, in the coaching realm of things. Chris Richard, he's coached the Seahawks, the Cowboys, and the Saints. And I always thought he brought great energy, was a good all-around coach. But again, could he be better? Of course. Are there better guys out there? Yes. So I don't think he'll be getting a head coaching job. This is probably a Rooney Rule kind of coaching interview.
All right.
But he is being interviewed, and he's still on the top. He's been interviewed for a lot of head coaching jobs the last couple of years, to no avail. Still staying. I was saying,
always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yeah. 6-time All-Pro and future Hall of Famer, center from the freaking Eagles, Jason Kelce. I hate him because he's good. But yeah, and also because he's an asshole. He's kind of a cocky little asshole against the Cowboys. But he told the Eagles teammates in Monday night's post-game playoff loss against the Bucs in the locker room that he is for sure, in fact, retiring, which is not a surprise. He was going to retire last year, came back, cried his ass off on the Kelce podcast. And then the 36-year-old Jason Kelce became visibly emotional at the end of that 32-9 loss against the Bucs on Monday. Consider retiring after recent years in the past. This time, it's the real deal. So he is out of the league. Fuck you, Jason Kelce. I don't give a fuck about you. I'll leave it at that. Now, as far as outside NFL stuff, I will make a quick mention on Des Bryant. I don't know if you guys heard about this. Discuss that in a second because Calvin Richard dropping a J. Lou $2 holler. J. Lou's part of discussion tonight here.
Oh, yeah,
much love to Calvin Richard with that $2 drop, bitch, baby. He is right now in second place on the overall board. Only Marco Seppian stands in front of Calvin Richard as he knocks Mr. Marco Seppian down to 94 points on the stream ball. So what did Calvin have to say?
Belichick could be in our division. Oh, no.
Yeah, there's some options there. Sirianni, right? I mean, we know there's a couple.
Honestly, looking at most of the options, it looks like he is headed for the NFC regardless. So there's still a very high chance that we'll probably be seeing Belichick a lot more than we're used to, right?
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Listen,
because most of the teams he seems to be favored for, they're all NFC teams for the most part.
Seems like it. And, who knows? Right now, we'll get to the Belichick stuff in a minute. I'm a big fan of trying to get of having to have Belichick come here.
Making the attempt.
Because to me, he would have been the best short-term answer for a guy who's older, right? For a team that's already kind of half-built, even if we lose some guys. We're going to talk about the guys we're going to be losing here, or cutting, or releasing, or unrestricted free agents. We're going to talk about that here in a minute.
It's quite the list.
Yeah, so it's going to be an interesting discussion here with the family, with you guys. But, yeah, I hear you, Calvin, as far as Belichick. It's Jerry Jones's fault if that happens, and he starts to, and we get decoded and figured out by a Belichick team, right? It'll be on the Joneses on that one. So look, speaking of the Joneses, Des Bryant was on on the Pivot interview on the show The Pivot, and he was very emotional. A lot of kind of interesting things. He was emotional when talking about, quote, breaking generational curses and setting the tone for his kids daily, because he basically said that he didn't like, he had wrote something. He got very emotional. He said that, don't go to sleep with your kids, mad at your kids, or saying don't wake up, getting mad at your kids, starting their day off bad. He goes, that's the way his life was.
I would say, I know he unfortunately had a pretty rough childhood situation and had some issues with his parental figure.
Yeah, his mother specifically. But anyways, the thing is that the generational curses he's talking about is like for him and his kids, he makes sure he ends the night not being, without any kind of issues being with the kids and himself, and waking up doesn't take anything out on them. So a very striking, convicting, vulnerable, real interview from Des Bryant. So if you like Des, that's an interview to watch. A couple interesting things, though, I will say. His contract year situation. Des Bryant spoke a lot about Jerry Jones. You have to just dive into that. There's a lot of stuff in there. He also kind of called out Jerry Jones the year of kneeling with Colin Kaepernick and that situation. Jerry Jones, the main reason Jerry Jones went there on Monday Night Football at Arizona to kneel with the players before the anthem, not during the anthem, it was about protecting the brand. That's what Des Bryant. It's not a surprise because we kind of said that same thing. That's what Jerry Jones is just. He don't care about the kneeling or what it stands for as much as protecting the star and making sure he doesn't alienate those people that were against the kneeling.
It was like the happy compromise in between where.
Well, it worked for Jerry, but then it worked for, let's say, the movement that they were trying to portray. I think that's what Des Bryant kind of spoke about, in much more detail. So a lot of criticism of Jerry, even though they're friends. Guys, both these guys are friends. You know what I'm saying? Des is always there. I mean, it's a great guy to bring into the stadium for Jerry Jones when Des Bryant's around. So they both work with each other in a great way. But there's a little criticism there from Des Bryant about Jerry Jones. So look, if you get a chance to pivot with Des Bryant interview, check it out. Now, this is now on the other side of things when it comes to the players kind of being schmucks, okay? Because, man, you guys were talking about it in the chat earlier.
Yeah.
About the Sam Williams and Kevontae Turpin victory party planned on January 14th, Sunday, after the game. Now, look, how accurate was this? Were they, I'm hearing people saying, they already had kind of made a contract agreement with them to have some kind of event, so they called it a playoff victory party, and they kind of made it into that rather than it was something that was made just to kind of rub it in the Packers' faces.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was it's very difficult to explain. I guess at best case you could say it was something that they were kind of, had to do in some way, but they didn't have to title it a victory party. That's where they extra fucked up, and that's why, when you see a player like okay, look, KaVontae Turpin has had issues in the past. He's been a pretty good guy with the Cowboys right now, but he was one of the guys making minimum money in the NFL, and he's a guy that probably should be the last guy getting himself stuck into something like this, where it's like a pre-victory party before we even played the game. That's where you're the head of.
Unfortunately for Turpin, he had a very replaceable year. Let's put it that way.
And again, let's be honest, a replaceable 2 years. Even if he made the Pro Bowl, I mean, he hasn't really had any real chances, whether it's the return game in general, but he's not going to get much more than what he's getting now
and
if he stays on there.
Exactly. It was just a regular party that ended up being advertised as a playoff victory party, not by the players, but by whoever was hosting and having this party. Because, of course, they're trying to, add to the hype or whatever.
But let's be honest to what happened here, right? This company here, the Playhouse, we don't take sides here. We say the facts.
Yeah.
The Playhouse, they put this advertisement up there on January 14th. They said on there, it has a picture of Sam Williams, has a picture of KaVontae Turpin in their Cowboy uniforms, and it says, Sam Williams and KaVontae Turpin hosting the Cowboys victory party. Now, that's one thing. That's not Sam Williams or Turpin doing this. But here's the problem, though. They both retweeted this on their IG.
Oh.
So they are retweeting it, advertising it, whether it was supposed to be called that or not. They're still putting credence to. I'm sorry, there's no excuse on that.
That does make a difference there.
There's no. That's why I wanted to make sure I get the whole sentence out there. It's not just a plain and simple like the players are getting picked on or it's their fault. Maybe initially they had to make this the party. They saw it was changed into a victory party, and they retweeted it knowing this. Look. This is part of, you can say not a big deal, and I kind of think it's not really that big of a deal, but in reality of things, when you know football and you've been in it, you know that their mind was not necessarily all, if they're saying about retweeting their victory party, it's been called this and changed this. I mean, you have to kind of retweet it, and I understand it, it's their thing, but you got to take the heat now when you don't win that game, and now it looks like you were celebrating. Your mind was in the celebration mode, and we got creamed and reamed by the fudge pack and Green Bay Packers. So it's a horrible look. Again,
and now we're sitting here with it on our face, and these players look absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, Turpin, who makes very little in the NFL sense of money.
Yeah.
He's going to take these engagements. Of course, Sam Williams is still on his rookie contract, second round pick. He don't really need to, but all these players take engagements like this, but marketing it and retweeting it and re-IGing it, whatever the fuck you want to call it, when they're putting this all over their stuff before the game even started and marketing a victory party, even though they didn't market it that way, that was marketed by the company, that is a horrible
they still
situation.
Promoted it. Yeah. They promoted that promotion. That's the point.
Let's go to the game. How was that game? By the way, Turpin didn't do anything because he wasn't able to. It wasn't any returns. And Sam Williams, he ran to the punt returner. He made some dumb fucking plays out there, played a horrible game. And it makes it feel like some of these guys have other priorities than playing the actual game. That is the culture, though. Even though, listen, I blame the players. These are individual issues. Whatever, it's unfair that they changed the party name, but they put it on their IGs and they retweeted it, so that's their fault. Everybody has a hand to blame, but baby, why is this shit going on all the time? Why is this shit allowed all the time? It is part of my rant.
Why is it always us?
It is the show of clowns. It's a circus. That's what they like. That's what the Joneses like. Look, I'm not saying they wanted these parties around and hearing about this, but the whole environment in Dallas and with the Cowboy front office is promote yourself, make the money. That's your brand, your brand, your brand. The players doing this, it's nothing new in Dallas, and it's a lot of this is not even like if you're in Green Bay, this shit ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? It's just not. No one gives a fuck about Green Bay and what's going on in their after parties or whatever it may be.
On one hand, most of us understand and respect, get your bag, right? You're never going to tell anybody to not go out there and hustle or make the most they can or take advantage of the opportunities presented to them. But like you said, it's not even about that. It's about the culture behind it. It's fine if we lose because we're still going to get our bag. And they, more so than anyone, get to rest on the laurels of, the quote-unquote greatness of the star.
But also, but the problem is that the clown show, they inspire this kind of self-promotion.
They promote it, basically.
They love self-promotion. That's what the Joneses do. That's the whole brand.
It's a selling
protecting
point
the
for
brand.
the Joneses. I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
It is a selling point for
But
the Joneses
it's not even
when
about
they're talking about bringing guys into the building. Like, the perks of the star are a selling point. We've even mentioned that before.
Right, but the Des Bryant situation, we just talked about a second ago, kind of proves it a little bit. Because Des Bryant, was talking about how Jerry Jones protecting the brand.
Yep.
And players protect their brand, fans get mad. So it's just funny that, I understand that these players, whatever the reasoning was, they were stupid for having to promote it as a victory party, and the game didn't even happen. But the clown show, this has never been an issue in the past, in the sense of allowing these players to do these promotional things, which is fine. They can do it. They have the right to do that. But Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, the culture of Cowboys and of winning, even when we had Aikman, Irvin, and Emmett, we had the Coke House, the White House, we had all the other issues going on. When we had all that stuff going on, it was allowed because of these guys. The only difference was we were winning. And we were doing really good, and there was no freaking Twitter going on. So, but look, all I'm trying to say is this. The clown show allows this, and they've been allowing it for years and years and years and years and years. I'm sure it doesn't help with the culture of the team.
Yep.
The culture is just do good enough to compete, and you'll get your bag. That's what the Joneses do. That's their mantra is, we'll be a 12-5 team and get knocked out of the playoffs, but that means we keep interest and we make money. That's the way the Joneses. So what do you think the players are doing? Sam Williams is like, I just got to show up to this victory party before the fucking game even happened. I'm still promoting myself, and so is Scottie Turpin. And this goes to all the players, front and down and side to side, good, bad, and ugly, doesn't matter.
Just from top to bottom.
Yeah, but just they had a bad game on top of that. So not only we lose, they had a bad game, and they're promoting a victory party. This is this is a circus, and that's why I'm sorry, guys, but there's blame to go all around this team, and it's up and down, and it continued today, and we'll get to that. Don't worry, we're gonna get to the clown show continuing, unfortunately, on this side of things. Any quick thoughts, maybe, before I move it to more procedural roster moves today for the Cowboys?
I mean, like I said, we should be surprised at this point, but we're not. I want to hit up the
we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be, but we still somehow are like, damn, it's still happening.
Bruce got the toxic juice, saying something I know we've mentioned a few times. Sam Williams is giving me, Randy Gregory vibes now. Yep. Matt Batten said Jimmy Johnson didn't care about money. He was a winner. Who cares about winning, not money? Yes and no, in the sense that, it's not, like I said, it's not like Jimmy didn't go after his own bag. Respect it. But you know how he did it? By shutting the fuck up and doing the job that needed to be done. You get my point
and the
here?
Players,
like
right.
He gets success. You don't get success for...
You're right. You gain success on success. Troy Aikman.
Yeah, no, real quick, Stanley Smith, shout out to you. He said he's a little under the weather. Yeah, you were one of the winners. Hit us up. Let us know what jersey and size you'd like. Congrats to you, man.
One of the winners.
Remember
for the jersey raffle.
Yep, MyCowboysFamily@gmail.com.
Yes, much love, Mr.
And hopefully
Stanley
you're feeling
Smith.
better.
Yes.
But yeah, let me kind of keep rolling here. Stephen White said, "Scorch the earth." So yes, guys. Unfortunately for Jerry, our loyalty to this team, defies even the boundaries of ownership.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
but that's the thing. I was gonna say, during the winning years, right? We had the White House. We had Chris Davis in the house, who just subscribed. Then we had a Chris that became a member in the Navy Blue crew. And then we had a James Davis. So we got a combination name there.
Lots of Chris, lots of Davis.
Yeah, a combo name there. Much love and welcome to the family here as we keep growing the channel. We're like 400 and something away from 30K.
Which is crazy.
30,000 family members of MCF. And you guys are the family, and it keeps growing every day.
Insanity.
So thank you all. So I wanted to say, though, go back to the 90s, right? We had cocaine-filled, Michael Irvin with the craziness going on in the White House with all the players partied out, including Michael Irvin. Troy Aikman making fucking horrible, country song albums. I'm just saying. Jerry Jones doing, commercials left and right, doing breakdancing and stuff.
But
you guys remember this?
Were they doing that before?
Even Jimmy, listen, no, hold on. Even Jimmy Johnson had one when he picks them up with the Apex and picks up the guys. Where are you guys going? Arizona, because of the Super Bowl. We're talking shit before the season started about going to the Super Bowl. Jimmy Johnson involved. You know what happened? And this is inspired by the Cowboys. This is inspired by the Joneses. But we were winning. When we're not winning, it's embarrassing. We get hateful towards those kinds of behaviors, and we shouldn't. It's the way it's always been. Don't be surprised. Do not be surprised about this. This is the way it's always been. It's just sickening when we lose 32-48, 48-32, and these guys, Turpin and Sam Williams, that are out there having a victory party before the game even started, and announcing it and retweeting it and putting it on their IG, and with knowing it's called this, and then they have horrible games on top of that, and we get crushed.
Yeah,
I mean,
that does feel like the
There's
no shit icing on the shit cake.
You can't. There's just no defending that. Case closed. Anyways, I think are we done with that in the chat as far as the thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's we can go ahead and kind of keep it moving here for a little bit.
Okay.
So, and Nolio, I hope the season means something, but I have to admit, like I said earlier, it's hard to not be a little bit pessimistic about the outlook moving forward, right? It's hard to feel as excited as you might feel during an off season. Like I said, it's hard to feel excited right after you lose, but in general, you know, I don't know. This loss has hit all of us a little bit differently, I think. 808 Cowboy said, when the fans can't even tailgate in the stadium parking lot and the pregame hype music in the stadium is Dolly Parton and George Strait, you already know what kind of culture they are.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I mean, again, I give Charlotte Jones a lot of credit for what she does out there and, bringing in people. But, yeah, I think there were some real misses there, and we know some of the base that I think that Jerry Jones favors try to keep in there, keeping it the Cowboy base. You know what I mean?
He's trying to do things the Cowboy way.
Yeah, literally. So, anyways, what do the Cowboys do today? What's some Cowboy news? Yes, guys, we will go live. We've gone live every day for over a year. I mean, we've done this in the past. For the entire year, every day. We've done this during the COVID times and other years we've done it. We might have missed a couple days here and there. Sometimes it's been a little rougher. We might have missed a week of total MCF live stream.
Yeah.
This year probably the record, but we're going to make sure our regular streams are power-packed. But there's always news, info, and updates on our Cowboys in the offseason, and we are in the offseason now officially, unfortunately.
Depressingly.
NFL today announced there are 6 finalists for the Pepsi Zero Rookie of the Year.
Okay.
What's the first thing that comes up in your mind when it comes to Rookie of the Year for the Cowboys? Because we have some real bad draft picks.
I mean, that's my point. No one comes to mind. We don't have anyone.
There's one guy that definitely comes to mind.
And Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Brandon Aubrey. There you go. But guess what, baby? Cowboys kicker Brandon Aubrey, who is a Pro Bowler, record setter, All-Pro kicker this year, does not qualify.
Why?
Just like Turpin doesn't qualify if it was him last year. The league does not consider Aubrey a rookie because of his past USFL experience.
Okay.
So no chance for Rookie of the Year for Brandon Aubrey. So I don't care.
That's a slightly valid point.
I guess.
kind of get it.
I guess. But he's also technically a rookie. Come on. Anyways.
Technicalities, like I said, I don't like it, but I get it.
I guess I have to accept it. Now, what about...
Yeah, see, Frame Ripper said it. He played pro sports already, even if it wasn't necessarily at the highest level.
He's not a rookie in professional sports.
No,
he's a rookie in the NFL.
Pro sports.
Right, no, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. He's a rookie in... I mean, I guess you call him a rookie if he never played in the USFL. He came from professional MLS. But I guess that's soccer.
That's what they're trying to say. Like they don't consider him a rookie, even if it wasn't necessarily.
That's why I think you're. I think if he only. I think it's because of football.
Okay.
Only because he was in another professional football league. If he was in soccer for 20 years and then came to the NFL, he'd be a rookie.
Okay.
I'm just saying, but he went to the USFL and then came to the NFL. Anyways. The point is,
sure. I guess the USFL thing is probably the bigger factor.
Either way, that's the
counts.
update. Moving on from that, when it comes to our players, Brandon Aubrey should be on this team next year. Other guys that are going to be on this team officially now. Part of the we had 7 guys we signed to the reserve deals and future deals, which means they're like practice squad guys that we basically moved into guaranteeing them a spot on this roster for the 90-man roster to fight it out in training camp and OTAs and that kind of shit. So we signed 3 more guys today who were either released or again moved from our practice squad to this reserve future deal group of guys, which means they're just practice squad guys that are protected. Three guys. Running back Snoop Connor. All right. He was a 2022 fifth-round pick by Jacksonville. So we're going running back there. We'll see what little Snoop Doggy Dog guy do. Snoop Connor, a running back. Another running back. And I like this name a lot. Former Gator and current Cowboy, practice squad Cowboy, Malik Davis, who was retained by the Cowboys from the practice squad. Again, the other practice squad guys fall off that don't get retained. Yeah. Remember that. And remember we had Martavis Bryant. We released him. We re-signed him and retained him. So now the Martavis Bryant fans
really like
happy once again here. We kept Martavis Bryant on our practice squad. We got him back on there. Martavis now, but look, he had 6 weeks, 2 months or whatever with us. We bring him back to compete this upcoming, OTAs and beyond. So we'll see.
I don't begrudge it. It's not his fault. I'm just saying.
He may be more ready is what I'm trying to say in a realistic way.
True.
This year was just kind of let's see what he's got. And then obviously he's got enough to at least get a try.
Yeah. Think of it like Damone Clark when he played those last few games this season when he basically did jack shit, but still got a little dirt under his
and also cleats. The fact that he didn't play any games when it comes to Martavis Bryant, but he was in the practice, in the rotation, that he knows kind of the system, he knows he's getting the flow of things, and so now that he's going to be in football shape, Cowboys have retained him for the offseason as one of our retained, I guess you could say, practice squad guys. So any quick thoughts on that? I know a lot of people love Martavis, so he's not going to save the season. He's just a guy fighting for like the 8th receiver spot on our team. So I don't know if there's any comments in the chat.
About that specifically?
About any of these things, whether it's Aubrey, whether it's Martavis Bryant, Snoop Connor, Malik Davis, which again, to me, Malik Davis is a fantastic running back. And the fact, I'm glad we're retaining him on this team in the practice squad. I think he's almost a 53 guy sometimes if need be.
And guys, we're all set on the mod side of things. So you guys can see our mod squad's runs pretty deep around these parts. So thank you, appreciate that though. Let me see. Pioneers saying Aubrey did choke when the heat was on. So because I saw a few people kind of unfortunately comparing him to Maher in the sense that he did great all season and choked in the playoffs. I still think he did better, obviously, than Maher, but
he choked in the.
But he did look, the whole team choked in the playoffs. Yeah. It's hard to put it all on Aubrey, but he also did technically fuck up.
He messed up in the Commanders game, and he messed up in this game, and that's the worry. That was kind of a little Brandon Aubrey-ish, baby. Yeah. I mean, a little bit Brett Maher-ish, which was my complaint, and everybody was attacking me for it. And now look, I'm just saying he was one of our.
The whole team was Brett Maher.
But baby, here's my thing. He was when sometimes this year the team was Brett Maher-ish. He was not.
I know.
This game he was also, and that's the problem.
And the whole
somebody who's been but somebody who's been counted on to be the. But let's be honest. Every game he's our player of the game, and we joke because he's so consistent.
I know.
And then he's the one that also fails. That's the issue. It's like what happened, and it's like back to back. Will it continue? I'm sure it'll be fine. But I don't think we'll ever see another year like this from Brandon Aubrey is my point. So anyways, look, that's that part of things. Now, like I said, bringing in these guys, 3 more guys to the futures deal. McCarthy, guys, Mike McCarthy. Let's get into it. Mike McCarthy is doing the exit interviews and finishing up everything related to this past 2023-24 season. McCarthy was finishing up exit interviews. So then the discussion starts to go into who's the coach, who's going to be the coach this year. Why haven't we made any of these? The interviews are still going on. The Cowboys can't make a move yet, so maybe there's a move coming, right? Now, if the Cowboys are going to make a move, initially today we were thinking it would be Thursday or Friday if there's going to be a firing going
because obviously the coach has to kind of do all his finishing up coaching stuff usually. Or at least that's how Jerry did it with Jason Garrett.
Yeah, with other guys he's fired in the past. So after this game, as we've had our own 2 cents about saying it's time for McCarthy to move on, in my opinion, but it wouldn't surprise me if he stayed. Guys like Brian Baldinger, who had a big rant, I posted it in our shorts, so check it out if you missed it. But he basically said, how many more times does Dallas need to come up short before making a change? I believe the time is now. And he is referring to Mike McCarthy. Mainly Mike McCarthy, but also he could be talking to some of the players too.
It's just general philosophy at this point.
I agree.
Whatever we're trying to do here is still just really not working.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. And that is Kind of what Brian Baldinger was saying. That's what we've been saying. That's what a lot of fans been saying. And as we were thinking today, as every minute went by, and we didn't hear, we were hearing, no word of the Cowboys checking into any coaches out there. No interviews going on, no thoughts about things. Mike McCarthy still not, fired or anything like this. So as more time goes on, it's kind of like a jury case. If as more time goes on, for with no news on McCarthy, it seemed already, and I said this the other day, that McCarthy is going to probably end up, there's a better chance he's going to end up as our head coach. And you even said that, I never forget, you said the other day, there's no way. Like, how much worse do you have to show in a game, in a playoff game like that against Green Bay, to show everybody that you should not be the coach of this team?
Now, I did end up, before we went live, I did kind of say it in the chat, I guess the only possible way I can see it is that Mike McCarthy threw Dan Quinn so far under the bus, he didn't even come up on the other side like mulch. Because that is the only possibility I can think of, right? Like, oh, yeah, our offense had a slow start, but the defense shit the bed so bad our offense couldn't even make up for it. Anyway, that's just my little kind of conspiracy theory.
Yeah, no,
there, right?
And by the way, for people in the chat.
And yes, Chris Davis, we are live.
We are live. We were breaking down the way things went down. We know Mike McCarthy is the head coach, unfortunately. But again, it'll be technically official tomorrow. It's being reported today, and we know it's going to happen, but tomorrow will be official as a press conference. But let me just finish saying my points here, because again, like Chris is saying, you look at our thumbnail, you're like, what do these other three guys got to do with things? And we know Mike Vrabel there at the bottom left is available. There's been some mention of him coming to Dallas, but nothing from the Cowboy side of things. All right, you look at Michigan's head coach, Jim Harbaugh. All right, he met with a couple of teams. He met with the Los Angeles Chargers. That was yesterday in his first interview of this hiring cycle. The decision was not imminent with him as well, but he's going to be deliberate, Harbaugh, about his future and coaching. The Chargers still going through an interview process with other candidates that they still plan on speaking with. So the Chargers like him. They're taking their time. But I'm saying right now, Harbaugh looks like he's going to go to the Chargers, all right, from the Michigan Wolverines in college. The Atlanta Falcons also interviewed Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh today for their head coach opening. Arthur Blank, in the past, tried to hire Joe Gibbs, tried to hire Bill Parcells, did not get, came up short there. Now he's interviewed Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh. That's potential next head coach for the Falcons.
Quinn might have to settle for the freaking Panthers.
Well, now, so those are those two guys there out of the mix for Dallas. What about the guy in the middle? The guy who I really think is the best move for the Cowboys, blowing it up but not blowing it up all the way. You're getting a guy in there that knows the Joneses, has a better Bill Belichick. He is friends with Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones. He would be a guy. He's a guy that Jerry Jones wanted to maybe missed on him in 96, 97 when he had a chance to hire him. He did not. He went with freaking Switzer, and he went with Chan Haley and just guys that were shit for this team as coaches. They were puppets. So they have a relationship. They have a friendly relationship, both Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, with Bill Belichick. So there's always that potential when it comes to being more involved in the GMing side of things than Mike McCarthy would, has been, even if he's been a little more involved. You have an inside track there with a friendly kind of situation, not a okay, I'm your coach and you are the owner for this team. It's more like, yes, that's the assignments, but I am Bill Belichick, legend, and Jerry Jones respects that and is friends with him. So to me, that would have been a great move, working with Dak Prescott, because we know he's here for at least one more year. Belichick would have been the guy. You got McCarthy is not. He helped, but he ain't the guy. So that's the way I felt about it. Mike Greenberg spoke about this today as far as Bill Belichick going to the Cowboys. Quote, Jerry Jones can hand Bill Belichick the two things he wants. He wants a roster that is ready to win right now. And he has a roster that has a chance to win a championship. Which, again, when you think about the Cowboys' potential, it's there with the right mindset, culture, and coach. And I believe that's true. So I agree with that statement. I some people don't want, do not want a Bill Belichick. I understand. He's older. But for a 3-year plan or 4-year plan, I think Belichick can change the culture in Dallas if he was given the chance. Of course, we know that's not the situation. But that's one reason why I believe, it's too late now, But I believe why Belichick and Jerry Jones would work great together, not just because they're friends, but because they are still interested in proving things. They are still interested in proving things. What I mean by this is that Jerry Jones could win a championship without Jimmy Johnson. We know that's a thorn in Jerry's side.
We already know what Belichick wants to prove.
And Belichick, Brady went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and won a Super Bowl without Belichick. So Belichick could do that with a already built team, a team that's a playoff team, a competitive team like the Cowboys, at least only competitive enough to get the playoffs. And of course, you already have a team there. You don't have the Falcons team that he's interviewing for that are fucking trash pretty much across the board. They got to rebuild them. So, I mean, you don't have, Belichick could win a Super Bowl with a team that's already established, and it's not with Tom Brady. That would be a big thing for both guys. That's why I felt it was a good match. Of course, we know the truth. And the truth is the guy on the left of your screen, and that's Mike McCarthy, who is going to be the Cowboys coach right here in the middle of the screen. Once again, finishing up his 5th year of his contract. Now, it started off this afternoon with the report that hinted already that the Cowboys' Jerry Jones was kind of saying what's going to happen. And this was per the Dallas Morning News this morning. Jerry Jones and McCarthy meeting tomorrow or Friday to discuss the plans for 2024, laying the groundwork for McCarthy to return as a head coach. So this was already known earlier today. I mentioned it last night that this was probably what's going to happen, even though I was hoping for other options to come up like you just saw in our thumbnail. So again,
if Belichick wasn't available, I would feel very differently about McCarthy staying. But yes, I'm sorry. The fact that Belichick is available, the fact that...
And others, Jim Harbaugh is available. You got to think it through a little bit more.
Everyone else, I can understand why Jerry would stick with his plan. That's what I'm trying to say. But Bill Belichick seems like...
Yeah, he's a perfect match.
He seems like the apple of Jerry's eye as far as coaching grabs right now. I don't know.
A lot of things about Belichick is that he wanted a lot more control too. So, Jerry Jones won't give up that control, but because of their friendship, I think it would have helped. I think it would have helped the Belichick wanting the control, but he really kind of has it as a friend more than a title. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, JD from DC in the place to be, representing an enemy territory no matter what, even with these losses, even with the embarrassing situation in Green Bay, repping that star proudly over everything. Much love to JD from DC, taking Mark down to CD Lamb, 88 points. What did he say as he jumps up this board?
Our motto will be the last stand. Now, the only reason...
Yeah, it's like, what? Go ahead.
No, it's just the last stand made me think, obviously, the last stand, but it also made me think, a really shitty, seat. You get it? Stand. Oh, man, I just got the 3-legged stool that's all wobbly and stupid, and it's going to break on me halfway through the night type of thing. So...
I mean,
is that the Cowboys?
We're supposed to seize everything this year. What the fuck happened, right?
Yeah. So, and you know what? Again, I don't want to acknowledge these people, but hey, for the Packer fans in the chat right now,
congrats.
Yeah,
you earned it. Good luck. Beat the Niners. Go for it.
Yep.
We're not hating you. We gave you your credit, but we know that our coaching, we were outcoached, we were outplayed, and that's it. We may be the better talented team, but they're a better team that day, better coached and better, more ready than we were, for sure.
Yeah, Pioneer said Tony Dorsett's rolling over in his recliner. Seabass said, number 4 said, no one's narrating for me. I'm the one with the pen writing my story. If you don't get your Panda Express fortune cookie reading ass the fuck on.
Yeah, I know. All that shit, it's like, just talk to me at this point.
Yeah, William Burney said, it's enough blame to go around. The defense gave up 34, and Dak gave the Packers 14. The team just wasn't ready to play a playoff game, because that's how you get down 27-0.
And when I hear this, I know... We can blame. There's players we're blaming. We blamed a lot of players. We blamed a lot of situations. We're going to blame Dak again today, don't worry. But foundationally, we know it's the Joneses. And we know, why is this team not ready? Is it because Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are in the locker room saying, hey, guys, you guys got to play well today? No. It's Mike McCarthy, who is the guy that's supposed to be getting these. That's his job. It's not. He don't see that many jobs the last 3 years. This year he did the most, and he did help. But did he get this team ready once again? It seems like the wild card against the Niners 2 years ago.
I want to throw something out there too that I guess I hadn't stopped to consider, and then after this, maybe I'll kind of hand things off to you. So obviously we're keeping McCarthy as our head coach. Does that necessarily mean he's keeping offensive coordinator or play, offensive play calling responsibility? Is he still running the offense?
I'm assuming so. We'll hear, because there was a statement from Jerry Jones said more about this, but we might not know this until tomorrow's press conference, which is, by the way, set up for 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 Eastern Time. So set your clocks accordingly. It'll be really early, 8 in the morning in the West
Coast. The Cowboys
Coast.
saying, we haven't made those evaluations yet, and then doing jack shit.
I agree. So this report earlier today came out that it looked like McCarthy was going to return. The points for this happening, for McCarthy returning, was, would you want Dak Prescott, who's due for another extension the offseason, having a third offensive scheme and play caller in 3 years? Every year for 3 years straight, have a Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy, and then blank if you go away from McCarthy. That was one of the mindsets that's kind of creeping into the decisions for this. Again, without the playoff shitty play by Dak, a career year, MVP type year in 2023, right?
Yeah.
Dak admitted to seeing the field better. I mean, we saw him seeing the field better. He admitted this. He said that was because of McCarthy's system and his coaching. So, again,
it's really hard to reconcile those things that we definitely saw throughout the season.
And that's why I keep saying every time I talk about McCarthy, even though I want him out of here, I also acknowledge he did some good things for this offense, specifically Dak Prescott. And how would that affect Dak's performance? Another new play caller, somebody who actually helped them. It reminds me of Kitna, who helped them a little bit back in those early years with Kellen Moore. But the point is, what if we hired a coach like, and again, we know it's McCarthy. What if we hired someone like Mike Vrabel, who's defensive-minded? What if we hired someone like Bill Belichick, who's defensive-minded? Then what would that mean for Dak's performance, being away from a head coach that is not offensive-minded, which would be more of McCarthy style, right? But the point I'm making is, and some people are saying, well, McCarthy's staying, that's the reason why we need him to stay. But I say this, Dak Prescott has thrived with a lot of different coordinators, right?
He managed to survive somehow.
I mean, with Garrett and what's his name? Freaking, I forgot his name already.
It's not. Shit, I almost said Marinelli. That's not him.
No. What's his name? God damn it. How can I forget his damn name? Lenahan.
There we go.
So, Scott Lenahan, and Jason Garrett's kind of mindset and scheme on offense. Then he went to Kellen Moore. Then he went to Mike McCarthy. I'm just saying, like, he's been able to adjust and do well in all these schemes that's been given to him. So, finding a guy who can work with him, I don't think it's that fucking difficult. But the Cowboys decided.
It doesn't have to be.
But the Cowboys, and I'm going to say this, I don't care how close we are as a team and how much camaraderie. I'm telling you, this is about saving Clownface. It's not about McCarthy being the best coach ever. Trust me, they would have fired him, but it makes them look bad. It makes Jerry Jones look like he made a mistake. You can't not see this and say that there's some good in this, but overall, keeping him, it's going to be another... guys, I'm telling you this now, so when it happens like I did last year, don't get mad. I'm warning you guys. If it's another offseason like we just had, which was better than most, it's still going to end up with the Cowboys getting knocked out in the first round of the wild card in the playoffs or in the divisional round. That is what's going to happen.
That is a depressing thought, but that is also
I can't see it,
probably reality considering everything that happened this year.
How else can we see it differently, guys? 3 years, 12-5, 3 years, embarrassing losses, bad losses. The most embarrassing this time around, but
also unfortunate injuries too, because remember, we do technically have guys like DeMarvion Overshown who are supposed to be back this upcoming year, but the sense that it would have been really nice to have him this year.
It's the bad... Yeah, people can blame Dan Quinn, but it's the bad preparation from the Joneses when it came to getting a linebacker...
natural football...
Right, but when you lose Overshown, who was going to play a role in this offense, still a little undersized than a rookie, but still, Overshown... And, of course, you throw in there Marquise Bell, Damone Clark, who was, all these guys are the speedier guys. Marquise Bell, of course, former safety. So is Overshown. You know what I'm saying? But we had LVE. Once he went down, even though there's other guys that did a good job in there. They did a manageable job. Marquise Bell did a good job. But it was not a long-term solution. The Cowboys forced Dan Quinn to use them as a long-term solution. When you get Rashaan Evans as your piece and you have to cut him anyways, he's a practice squad guy. That's not your piece there, Jerry and Steven. They went for
your consolation prize.
That's like your bottom of the barrel pickup. Nobody wanted. Darius Leonard was the biggest move we tried to make, and we lowballed him, I'm sure. And he went to the Eagles. There was no deal we could have made, I guess, to get him. Either way, would he have been the answer? I don't know. But he would have helped Dan Quinn's scheme work better. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The Dan Quinn scheme needs at least one solid run stopper. We didn't really have that. We rolled the dice, and we lost. And that's the Joneses not giving everybody, you can say McCarthy, Dan Quinn, all these guys, the true depth or guys that you may need to have plan B in place.
Yeah, and so, I don't think Damone Clark is necessarily trash. I just think that he is not a one-man show.
He's not an off-ball linebacker like that we needed to make. He was good complimentary guy to an LVE.
I'm about to say, do you remember how much better he looked when LVE was out
much
there?
Better, much better.
Get him a little bit of help, and he will look better now.
But Marquise Bell doing a great job is a different kind of linebacker, right? He wasn't an LVE type. He was a coverage type of guy. LVE cannot cover. Marquise Bell did good in the run stop and had a very low percentage of missed tackles. But Marquise Bell cannot handle the riggers, and then you have to have the LVE pick up the slack. You didn't have that.
Exactly.
And Damone Clark.
And that's what I said. It's a little more complex.
Yeah. Anyways, that's the defensive side, the different ins and outs. But let's stick on the topic, which is McCarthy officially being, staying a Dallas Cowboy head coach here for one more year. And this came in today. Adam Scheffler, a lot of others spoke about it. Tomorrow it'll be official in a press conference. But the Cowboys are not making a head coaching change. Mike McCarthy is returning for his final year of his contract for the 2024 season. McCarthy, again, this is his fifth season for the Cowboys. Tomorrow morning, it's not a press conference about this. It's a press conference that he usually has for his end of year. It's an end of year press conference is what it's called. So that's what it is. Of course, a million questions will be about the playoff game, be about what's next and how does he feel about his coaching staff and who knows what else.
Look, I'm hoping they throw in at least one or two genuinely tough questions. Just being real.
I hope they will. Trust me. I guarantee there'll be some tougher questions
Stephen White,
tomorrow.
The source is literally our front office, Jerry and Stephen both saying, we're happy with the guys we have. I mean, last time I checked, Dan Quinn is not the one out there signing players, bringing players onto this team.
We heard factually here, the last offseason, Bobby Wagner, a guy Dan Quinn was all in on.
Yep.
Cowboys, quote-unquote, did due diligence and then never even made an offer. I'm just saying that along with other guys, I mean, whether you like Von Miller or not, or others, the Cowboys did due diligence. These guys have never made even a phone call from them. They got phone calls from the players.
You can't get a date if you don't ask them out.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
So the same thing goes for Bobby Wagner as an example of a guy that would have helped this team a year ago, 2 years ago. He's older. He's still doing his job, and he works great with Dan Quinn. No. Jones say work with Rashaan Evans. Go for him.
Will McClay can scout guys. Will McClay can't sign guys.
Yeah.
Let's get that cleared. And if he does sign a guy, so to speak, it's because the Joneses okayed it. Nothing gets done as far as personnel decisions without Jerry Jones giving the final say-so. Nowadays, I will give credit. Stephen Jones is the one who generally gives say-so outside of some of the bigger contracts.
And we're saying that when it comes to contracts, we know Stephen Jones is more in control of that. Still, in the end, who does the final thing is Jerry Jones. But he'll hear from when it comes to scouting guys and undrafted guys. He's going to agree with Will McClay when he hears from these people. When he hears from when he hears from his other group of people, coaching staff or whatever, he'll probably bank a lot more on what Dan Quinn was going to say. You know what I'm saying? McCarthy. I'm saying when he listens to certain people for certain situations, but when it comes to GMing in the end, Jerry Jones is the guy that makes the final decision. He just listens to his advisor. When it comes to contracts, he may be involved, but he listens to what Stephen Jones says and those guys. So again, Jerry Jones and the front office all agreed they're keeping Mike McCarthy here, entering the final year of his contract. There's only been 2 head coaches under Jerry Jones that have coached more than 4 years. It was Jimmy Johnson, Jason Garrett. Mike McCarthy's about to become the third. So there you go, third guy here. That's again outside of that was Chad? What's his name? I forgot his name. Damn it! But we had Switzer for a couple years. Had I can't. What's his name? Campo.
Obviously, Parcells.
Parcells for 3 years. And there was another guy in there, and I forgot his name. He was a shitty guy right after Switzer before Campo. Henning. I forgot his. I can't believe I forgot his name. I'm getting old.
You keep saying that H sound. I want to say Hendershot for some reason, just because.
Some people say in the chat.
Name that keeps popping in my head.
Another former coach.
No, that's definitely not it.
Cowboy, yeah.
Chan
Gailey. There it is.
we
There's
go.
a mixture
Thank
of
you,
names.
Griff181.
Thank
Shout
you.
out to you guys.
These guys all were 3 years or less, or 4 years or less. Nobody over 5.
Yep,
now we have guys that have coached for the Cowboys, for more than 4 seasons under Jerry. Of course, Tom Landry is the other name. He was the coach the whole time until Jerry Jones took over. So again, not counting Tom Landry, who was not under.
Yeah, we're counting
only the Jerry Jones
era coaches.
Yeah, only Jimmy Johnson, Jason Garrett, and now Mike McCarthy are the guys that have coached for over 4 years for the Cowboys. I'm not saying 5. Maybe he gets fired halfway through the season, but 4 years with the Cowboys, over 4 years, it's now going to be Mike McCarthy as well. So here's the deal. As they were talking, they were going to talk Thursday and Friday. They spoke today, Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy. And the coaching staff was also notified a little bit later that McCarthy was being retained for the 2024 season. Stability is the reasoning a lot of it was being said about stability.
Yeah.
Not breaking up or blowing up the team was the reason the Cowboys did it, because it's an advantage in the NFC East. With the Washington Commanders, the Giants being subpar, the Eagles kind of imploding. The Cowboys wanted to be one up on them, it sounds like.
The worst part? He is not necessarily wrong. He is not necessarily wrong, but does having the advantage in the NFC East make a difference? Because this year, sure shit fucking didn't.
I mean, the only team in any of the 4 divisions in the NFC, the only division not represented by a team is the NFC East. Embarrassing. So, again, the plan right now, behind the situation with retaining McCarthy is going to be big. It's a very important, integral part of how it's going to come down to how the postseason ends for the assuming we make the playoffs next year. How the postseason ends next year compared to the last 3. So, even though that's the case, even though that's the thought process, the word is there's still an expected measure of disruption expected or needed by per Jerry Jones. So it's not going to be Mike McCarthy, but it seems like it's going to be some other people here.
I guess it's not going to be Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. So now let's get it from the clown show head himself, Jerry Jones. Now, as he spoke as the organization about the Mike McCarthy hire, but the Cowboys put out a 260-word statement from Jerry Jones himself regarding the decision to keep Mike McCarthy as head coach for another season in 2024. Baby, what is the full statement about Mike McCarthy staying as the Cowboys head coach this year from owner and GM, general manager, Jerry Jones? Hit me with it. What did he say?
I believe this team is very close and capable of achieving our ultimate goals, and the best step forward for us will be with Mike McCarthy as our head coach. There is great benefit to continuing the team's progress under Mike's leadership as our head coach. Specifically, there are many layers of success that have occurred this season as a result of Mike's approach to leading the team, both with individual players and with our team collectively. Mike has the highest regular season winning percentage of any head coach in Cowboy history, and we will dedicate ourselves in partnership with him to translating that into reaching our postseason goals. Certainly, Mike's career has demonstrated postseason success at a high level, and we have great confidence that can continue.
We haven't had postseason success. We have postseason. Not postseason success, Jerry, but all right, go ahead.
So, further, our loss on Sunday is shared by everyone here, not just Coach McCarthy. Our players, our coaches, our front office, myself. There is accountability for our results. I am accountable for our results. The lens we use to view and evaluate Coach McCarthy is holistic. While we're all disappointed with the result on Sunday and with our playoff record, I am 100% supportive of him as our head coach and ability to reach our goals. We will start our process of review and decision-making regarding everything that impacts our team and roster. And while we're not going to address specific players and extensions or free agents at this point, it deserves our deepest review and consideration, and it will get it.
Again, and so we all know, officially, Coach Mike, Dallas Cowboy coach in this upcoming year, Dallas Cowboy coach Mike McCarthy will be addressing reporters tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 Eastern. And, Mountain, you're going to 9 and 8 in the morning in the West Coast. This is going to be his annual end of the season news conference or, recap press conference tomorrow. But, of course, many comments and questions and thoughts and reported media is going to be talking and asking about what's next now with the Cowboys as you take over, your expectations to get fired, what's needed to get this team ready and prepared to play a fucking playoff game with some passion. What's it going to take? Because you ain't doing it yet, Mike. I hope they ask the right questions. I hope they are they bring up the right questions tomorrow for Mike McCarthy. Not that it matters. He'll give us double talk and smoke shit. But at least put his feet to the fire a little bit. Let's hear what he's got to say.
I have to be honest. It would make me feel better just to know that they're asked, even if they're answered in the way that we are expecting. But even I have to admit, I've never heard Jerry out loud admit he's part of the problem in that way.
Well, I've heard him hint to it.
Yeah, it's such a blunt way. So not that he deserves too much credit there.
Yeah, I don't agree.
But
Jerry,
I think that's his way of, again, trying to shield McCarthy from the inevitable shitstorm that keeping him on here by trying to say, like, and honestly, again, this is where I say Jerry's not necessarily wrong 100%. Like, some of the points he made are valid, which is why it's, like, mixed in with some of his Jerryisms in there.
That's the issue. Jerry Jones does this all the time. We've already read through this for years. But he throws in some fact with some fucking bullshit and hype and smoke signals and bullshit. And just saying, it always happens. We call it out and call it out again. Listen, he's not great in the postseason, Mike McCarthy. Not with the Cowboys. And so Jerry Jones just feeds us bullshit. We know it though.
And Stephen White, good night. But by the way, Mark
in the house.
Big mahalo currently to the stream boss.
Yes.
Who dropped a $5 holler.
And adds to his overall lead right now.
He also has a bone to pick with Jerry about that regular season record situation because he said, I put on Discord stats regarding our offense and defenses that we faced. We have a chance to get some great coaches and we stick with a dick. JJ sucks big dick. Hey, we know he's into those glory holes, so there's only one output into that input.
It is officially the offseason, and, we always bring up the fucking clown show. I know Mark likes it when we bring up the facts about this thing. This is
have a little sound effect every time it shows up, like the little.
Which is we might just do it vocally here, but verbally. But here's the thing, guys: Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, foundationally have been fucking us for a while. We've been talking about that every offseason. This shit is said, and even though I will admit they did a little bit better this offseason, Mike McCarthy did a little bit better with Dak and the offense, but the attitude, the fucking culture is still not there. It hasn't been there for 28 plus years. And like I said earlier, I don't know if, Mark, you heard this. Sam Williams and Kavate Turpin having a victory party, retweeting it and putting it on their IG when it was already, whether it was the expectation or not, that's what this club was doing for a party. They called it the post-game victory party, meaning after the Packer game. Sam Williams, whether he had any engagement set up with this or not, and they moved it around and moved the wording around and changed it up. That's not his fault. But him retweeting it, promoting it, it looks horrible. That's the culture that the Joneses have allowed because they do it themselves. They did it with Jimmy, and it worked because we were winning. But now we had the
post-game depression party.
Yeah. This is a whole clown show thing. And we're going to be saying this a lot in the offseason. Even if they do good moves here and there, there's still going to be clown show. And it's happening for 28 fucking years. We have the right to call it the fuck out.
It's funny because throughout this season, we actually backed off on a lot of the clown show stuff because we were like, shit, we can't call it all clowny, right? We didn't think they were completely clowning around.
Agree, and their issues were in the offseason. They could have done better. They could have done better in the regular season. Making some moves and getting some guys that maybe Dan Quinn would have rather had. I'm still on the coaches and Dan Quinn, and to me, the mindset of the culture of being ready for a game. That's all on McCarthy. That's not on the clown show. But the clown show came up short on a lot of different, you could say, draft pick decisions. Mm-hmm. You could say free agent decisions.
Yeah, I think draft is almost the bigger one because free agent wise, again, they did step out of their personal comfort zone. Right, even if it wasn't all that much for us and the Cooks and Gilmore moves.
Right, but those weren't free agent. Those were trades. And so free agency, the Cowboys just got some of our own and got some low-level
So then
other
I'll
guys.
include them in the draft as well since that's how it goes.
Well,
our draft was beyond subpar. The impact that it had was none. Negative. Like, it actually took away from our team in a significant way because, one, there were guys on the board that we had on the board, right? Like the guy over freaking Schoonmaker, the guy that we would have picked if Schoonmaker was somehow gone, it would have been that offensive lineman.
Osiris Torrance.
So
I don't know where we had him on our list, but
it is painful. Well, again, I guess you could say from reported rumors out there that he was very high on our list there as well.
I want to know what the family thinks about the McCarthy specifically situation. If there's any
Pioneer
comments
said
on
this
that.
is injury added to insult. You know, Seabass, by the way, cracking me up saying, y'all buying tickets, season passes, merchandise, jerseys, traveling to support the Cowboys?
Guys, we've done this when Garrett was here, and it was like overdue gear for years. Rep what you got. Get your stuff from Cowboys Mosh. You win a jersey here. You're still repping the star. You're not repping Jerry Jones.
Yep.
Though.
Or
That's
if
the difference.
you're gonna do it, exactly. Support the smaller businesses out there putting out the great
Cowboy
Cowboy
stuff
gear
or Cowboy content. My point is, forget about Jerry Jones. Do not buy the tickets. Do not go to. Listen, people are gonna go anyways.
Pioneer said, I actually feel bad for the youngsters. In the 90s, we had the greatest football team in NFL history. Hey, feel bad for some of us, quote-unquote, oldsters, because, again, I was technically around for some Cowboy success, but, I was sitting in my high chair.
Let me give you the bad news, baby. You were around for... You're a youngster. You're one of the young ones here. You're not. That's good news, I guess. But you're one of the young ones here. You're not one of the oldies. And if you're oldie, you've seen it. You've seen the Super Bowls. I know you were around, but you weren't around to acknowledge it. Anyways, any other McCarthy things? Because I'm going to go to Dak Prescott here.
No, that was it from Jerry as far as McCarthy. And again, not surprised that he put out this statement to kind of help, blow out some of the flames.
I'm sure we'll be talking more about McCarthy being the head coach literally every fucking day. Maybe the rest of the stream still. So I'm very personally, baby. I don't like the move. I can barely understand. I understand it to a very little extent, and it's just playing out the contract with Dak and him. It feels like it. I'd rather the Cowboys made a move on a Bill Belichick, 72 years old, 71 years old, whatever. He would have had at least 4 years. He would have been changing the culture of the team. McCarthy ain't changing the culture of the team. That's what I'm trying to say.
I know, and that's what I was trying to say earlier. Had it been any other coaches or any other situation, I could have resigned myself a little easier to McCarthy in some ways, right? But the fact that Belichick was, however you want to put it, available.
Well, he is available. So is Harbaugh and others.
In the sense that no longer is for us because we locked in.
But he is still available as a head coach in the NFL. So is Jim Harbaugh. So is Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
And we go back to Mike Buck and McCarthy because consistency and we're the best team in the NFC East, which is, I guess a good point until you look at it and say, what does that mean? Does that mean another first-round exit? Are we trying to break that back-to-back, NFC East champion streak? And maybe, I just don't understand. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways.
No, it just, I guess I'm never going to be, that cheerleading outfit's going to happen when I'm Dolly Parton's age at this point.
Oh, damn.
Jason Renfro. So, Mr. MCF will be, one of those,
I'll be in a
heads from Futurama.
Yeah. I'll be in a freaking iron lung. Guys, so, McCarthy situation, it's not just on McCarthy, because, again, we talked about, he's the head coach, right? And he's here for at least one more year. You know who else is here for at least one more year?
Who?
Dak Prescott.
Well, we kind of figured they were a package deal. Dak said it himself, actually, post-game.
Yeah, well,
you're going to fire McCarthy, fire me?
Yeah, put me on that list, too, if you're going to, you want McCarthy out.
I guess you can put Dak on the keep list, then.
McCarthy, but we know Dak has the control. Dak could have, in a way, saved McCarthy's job. In a way, we don't know what the deal is. The point is, though,
probably wasn't big a factor.
The cold, hard facts about what happened in this game, no matter who you are out there, if you love Dak and you still can't see that he played a horrible game, forget playoff games. I've seen playoff games he's played better. People are criticizing him for playing badly in playoff games. I don't agree, although recently he has played down. But I think you could say that was his own fault. It was Kellen Moore's fault. In this situation, a lot of this was Dak Prescott's fault in this game.
In this particular game, the Dak stuff for sure.
And so, again, no, McCarthy had some faults, too. It just wasn't directed to the offense as much or the quarterback as much.
It did feel a little more execution-based. Yeah. And I get the point you're trying to make.
Yeah, so when I look at this, McCarthy and his quarterback here in Dak Prescott, the reality is when you look at the comments post-game, look at the ones that get attention, baby. All right? Dak said, quote, maybe my mind was moving a little faster than my body. So not prepared. That's on Dak. McCarthy, when he was asked about stuff, how did he feel about the way the offense performed and the quarterback performed Dak, in the beginning of the game, McCarthy said, quote, you're always trying to get your quarterback into a rhythm. It took a little longer than I would like. So the issue, obviously, is McCarthy had an issue with Dak Prescott getting into his flow.
And the regular offensive rhythm that they get into. But honestly, maybe it's like I don't even want to blame McCarthy here necessarily if it's not his, but it sounds like they were both not on the same page at some point.
It sounded like McCarthy had a plan and Dak was not on the same page. Yeah. And it sounds like Dak was off. He said it himself, though, baby. His mind was moving a little faster than his body. So Dak was off. McCarthy didn't have him ready, but Dak was off. And let me just say something else. Are we singling out Dak Prescott when the whole team really sucked? No, I'm not. Everybody sucked. But this is the fourth playoff game in the last 5 starts for the Cowboys. Or the last 5 starts Dak has had, the Cowboys have lost. 4 of the last 5. This is the fourth playoff game in his last 5 starts for Dak that he's failed to have even 90 yards in the first half. That's a telling stat right there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, now Dak is starting to trend, like you said, not in a positive way when it comes to postseason.
Look at, again, first half, 4 of the 5 games, couldn't even get 90 yards in the first half of passing. Listen to this, baby. Against the Rams in 2018, he was 8 for 13 for 87 yards at halftime. We were down 20-7. Against the Niners in 2021, he was 9 for 16 with 89 yards at halftime. We were down 16-7. Against the Niners last year, 2022, he was 12 for 16, 81 yards, and 2 interceptions thrown in that game. Cowboys were losing 9-6.
He's literally trending
at the half. Yeah. And this Sunday's game against Green Bay, he was 13 for 21 for 87 yards and 2 interceptions. One was a pick 6. Cowboys were down 27-7 at halftime. So even though coaching and scheme is an issue, Dak has an issue recently in his last 4 out of 5 games in the playoffs. And when you look at the final stat line, he was 41 out of 60 for 403 yards, 3 touchdowns. When you look at the numbers in this game, it looks great for Dak against Green Bay. But the final stat line has very little to do with the actual game and why the Cowboys are out of the playoffs again. Coaching and defense and not being ready, but Dak also not being ready. Dak also not playing well. All right? You look at the we didn't even talk about the 2016 game, which was a couple playoff games before that because we beat Seattle and we had a little bit of success there. But the 2016 game against the Packers, where the Cowboys were down 21-3 before Dak Prescott brought us back in that game. That game was a big playoff game for Dak being positive in his rookie year. That was a good game for Dak. Dak had a good game against Seattle, which got us the win. We were down. He had a bad game against the Rams, but he's the one that brought us back in the second half against the Rams to have a chance.
Yeah, in a very impressive fashion.
Yeah, he's the one that brought us back against the Niners in that first game in the wild card game, being down in the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? So, to me, yes, the last 2 games were horrible for Dak. The last 4 out of 5 were also horrible for different reasons for Dak. So, I'm just saying, he's had a bad string of games in the playoffs after some really good numbers in the regular season. That's just the way it is. That's the facts of the situation. Is it the harder teams? Is it the tougher defenses? Is it the fact that we're getting out-coached on top of the skill level? I don't know. But I do know that Dak, he's just going to have the perfect scheme, the perfect situation for him to be better in the playoffs. And I'm not talking about a regular season. I'm talking about in the playoffs. In the regular season, Dak is MVP, top 5 type guy.
Yeah,
we know this already.
Yeah, we don't really have to worry about it.
But when it comes to the playoffs, Dak is subpar recently. He's had some good starts, recently subpar. So, again, the regular season is where you make your money, Dak Prescott. The playoffs is where you make your legacy. And that's where Dak has failed.
I was going to say,
his
yeah,
legacy,
right now, our
failed.
Cowboy legacy is unfortunately closer to Tony Romo's.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways, if not worse.
It's Tony Romo. It's Tony Romo again. I mean, I think we have a better chance with Dak. It's still Tony Romo, just in a different way. You know, the Buccaneers. You think about moving away from Dak's contract. Mm-hmm. I know some people say get rid of Dak. It's going to be not going to happening. Okay, Dak's going to be here for at least one more year, and if we don't extend him, he's going to have another $60 million hit probably after we push some money forward this upcoming year. In a dead year, he's going to be hitting us for $60 million, and he's not going to play a snap in 2025 if that's the case. But listen what the Bucs did, baby. Again, one of the teams still in the playoffs. We're not in it. The Bucs played this year with $82 million of dead cap. $82 million, guys. $35 million was just for Tom Brady. What I'm trying to say is that they were able to overcome it on a big cap hit, whether it's pushed money forward, voided money, contract years, whatever it may be.
But do you see how the Bucs did it, though? Because that is kind of the point that needs to be
highlighted. That's my point. Go ahead, speak on
defense.
Yeah, well, but a lot of different things. They use the right guys on the right scheme on offense to make shit work.
I know, but the point is that the defense was still the driving force there. Like, the offense can be fine, it can be okay, it can be great even, but you can't really get that far if your defense can't just stop a team from fucking scoring.
Well, I agree, but they're not necessarily a great team on defense, but Todd Bowles a defensive-minded guy, and he was able to really do a good job in getting it to work on defense. On offense, I think Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield was a big surprise to me. So they got the right guys to put in the right, the players they got put in the right schemes with the right coaching, and that's why they were successful. We, on the other hand, scrape at the bottom of the barrel to fix the last couple of pieces, and then there's fall-throughs and breakdowns.
Marco stepping with the $2 holler saying, I'm ill.
Yeah, from this whole thing. It's like sick in real life, and also because of this. I think this makes me sick in real life. So, again, appreciate you, Mark.
Yeah, and by the way, shout out to everybody here. Real quick, let me take a quick little 30-second commercial break here. Everyone take a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us anywhere and everywhere at MyCowboysFamily. Hop in the Discord, link for that is in the description box down below. And again, thank you to everybody here dropping the love and showing the love, even during these tough Cowboy times. Yeah, of course.
Talk about the dead cap and kind of the finishing thing I was gonna say. It's incredible that, again, $35 million for the Buccaneers is dead cap for Brady, who's not even playing, right? The Bucs played with a total of $82 million in dead cap money. Just so you guys understand, that is more than 1/3 of the $225 million cap. So they were playing with a lot less options and abilities, with a lot less money than the Cowboys. With all the bullshit that the Joneses say, we had a lot less stuff going on when it comes to, the issues with money. We had $20 million under the cap. We had $20 million to spend on players that we just let them just slide right out. And that, my friends, is why it's hard to blame Dak or even Mike McCarthy only, when we know the main issue. And by the way, much love to T-Bone Oliver, part of the family here on MCF. But when a team like the Bucs are playing with 1/3 less than everybody else of cap money, $225 million, and they had a third missing of that, and they still were able to put together a good team because of good coaching, good scheme, and getting average players to play a little better than they did because of the right coaching scheme to align with those guys that, like Baker Mayfield, not making them try to be Brett Favre, or Joe Montana. He's just got to be a guy don't make that many mistakes out there and manages the game. So by doing that, the Bucs are able to survive into the fucking divisional round. We couldn't even get there with the talent we had, and and the coaching deficiencies, which again, to me, is where it's about management. Even though we had some coaching deficiencies, baby, it's about the fact that the front office of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are able to pull it off with $83 million less than us, and the clown show couldn't put together a team good enough here with players, with the money we had extra. We couldn't get over the cap, the pie is a lie bullshit.
Yeah, we had
to deal with all these things, and we couldn't get through it.
Yeah, we had plenty of resources. We had consistency. We have one of the supposedly best front offices and scouting departments and all that stuff. We had a decent amount of draft picks. I could use a little more, but decent amount of draft picks still. What more do you want other than no cap at all whatsoever and just let Jerry spend his billions of dollars on bringing in
at that point, would he even do it? Who knows? But my point is that the fact that they balance the stupid cap and then use that as the excuse while the Buccaneers are doing it and they don't give a fuck and they're making the playoffs farther than we are.
They want it.
Yeah, they earned it. Marco Seppian dropping that $5 holla. And by the way, he's up to 99 points on that stream, boss. What did the man, who's leading the whole way right now on the overall board and the stream boss, what do you have to say about this?
Green Bay's overall defense ranks 10th. We scored 16 points with 6 minutes left. New England, only 2 off of touchdowns, ranked 15. San Francisco and BF, not sure who you mean there, ranked top 5.
Buffalo,
there we go. Yeah, San Francisco and Buffalo ranked top 5, and we scored 10 each. Everyone else ranked 23rd plus. So basically, we did all our scoring on more subpar teams.
When it comes to the Packers, we broke them down individually. The run game was not that good. The run defense and their pass defense was horrible. So I don't know about the overall 10th, how they gauge that. It depends. You can look into whatever book, and you'll find defenses higher ranked than they should be. The Green Bay Packer defense was not that good, and the Cowboys still couldn't do shit about it.
Yeah,
it was a complete collapse from the coaching, from the preparation to the player execution.
They had weaknesses we could exploit.
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of not having Stephon Gilmore and having Juan Thomas out there and just assuming Jordan Love would try to target him as much as possible. We basically had that same setup scenario, however you want to call it, on 2 or 3 different levels there, and we did not take advantage of a single freaking one. Thank you, Marco Seppian, by the way, with another $5 holler.
Much love.
Appreciate you.
And he's fully loaded, 100 points, first place on the board. What did he have to say?
This shows our offense is hyped. 23, 24, 29, 31st, and 32nd ranked defense is where we scored. That's not MVP. We need to keep it real. Coaches and players are all hyped.
All I'm going to say, Mark, is that this is where we disagree in the sense of playing. I could do that again. I could do that, I'm sure, with other quarterbacks that had MVP-like seasons, that had played a lot against, that are great quarterbacks that played against shitty teams and didn't get these numbers. So, yeah, I guess, I understand what you're saying. You just don't get these numbers because you're playing bad defenses. I've seen a lot of good quarterbacks struggle with shitty ranked defenses. To me, it's deeper than just how the defense is ranked. The Packers' defense was not ranked very high. I don't know about the overall 10th. I don't know where you get that number is being derived from. But all I saw was in the 20s with the Packers' pass and run defense. Yet, especially when it comes to specifically covering receivers, covering tight ends. What happened? Cowboys didn't exploit any of their weaknesses. This is coaching. Of course, also execution. Dak made a lot of decision errors there. You saw CeeDee Lamb. What the fuck was wrong with him? When I'm mentioning these guys, and Mark, you're trying to take me to the next level of things here. The money situation for this Cowboy team.
Yeah, take it easy, Fuego. Have a great night.
Much love, Fuego in the house. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. Not the money. We'll get to the money situation in a minute. Let's talk about the hype here in a way. Whether it's again, Dan. We're talking about Dak Prescott. What about CeeDee Lamb, who was not all hype? He was all world this year, right? He was all pro this year.
Yeah.
But that last game, he looked like he was all zombied out on drugs or something. He looked like he was on a tranquilizer. He didn't look like he was drunk. I don't know. But something was wrong with him in that first half. When it comes to using motion in this offense, all right? Mm-hmm. CeeDee Lamb, somebody who thrived in the slot, thrived in motion, and we kind of started an uptick of that after week 6, after our bye week. And after that, we used more motion. Yet on the road, we still shied away from it. So let's think of it like this for a second, baby. Mm-hmm. Mike McCarthy using no motion, the worst in the league in motion, for the first 6 games of the season. After the bye week, all the home games, we used high level of motion and won them all. Except for the last one.
Do you think that correlates with our home domination?
No. Then on the road, we used a lot less. One of the bottom 7 teams in the league using motion. So when you add it all up, what was the final numbers? Let me just give you a number here. For the final in motion kind of analytics here for this season. For comparison, in 2017, back in 2017, NFL teams put a man in motion at the snap 4% of the time on average. This year, the average was 22% of the time. You're seeing fluid, moving offense, motioning your receivers is the way to go. Look at the top 6 teams that did this. When they snapped the ball, a guy was in motion. Number 1, the Dolphins. They did it 68% of the time. The Rams, number 2, 44% of the time. The Niners, third, 37% of the time. The Packers, 36% of the time. That hurt our defense. The Lions do it 29% of the time. The Ravens do it 28% of the time. What's the common theme there in those top 6 teams? They're all in the playoffs. They all made the playoffs. Are they in there? No, not all of them. But they've been successful offensively when you use motion.
I was going to say, motion is obviously a big part of that success, clearly.
Yeah, and yet we're going to have McCARTHY, who better learn from this if we want to have any kind of chance. Look at the team. I'm going to go to the teams. How these teams end up with where did the Cowboys end up on this list? Mark Hosepian first drops that 5 on it, the $5 holler.
Thank you again, Mark.
Taking control of the lead on the leaderboard right now. Much love to him. Fully loaded. What did he say, baby?
He said, "We have enough talent to win. We need a new direction, and a coach like Bill would do this.
Agree.
Not Coach Tubby.
I know.
How do you not go after a Coach Bill?" And Mark,
we are
you
agreeing
screaming
with you
and speaking my language.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you were here when I mentioned that, but I said it. If you told me any other coach, I could understand. I'm not saying I would like it. I could understand why Jerry chooses to keep Mike McCarthy around. But the fact that Bill Belichick is available, and it feels like all these other things, we like the guys we have. We like the guys we have already. Like, coño, at what point will Jerry go for, the prettiest bell at the ball? Because right now, Bill Belichick is absolutely the guy who can take our team, or has a chance of taking our team, I should say, to that next level, because we need a serious-minded coach.
And to
not to say that McCarthy isn't serious,
to
but
the next level,
it's just not enough.
To the next level with the guys that we have. This is already an established team that has some pieces that you won't get that in Atlanta or in other places where Belichick will have to go and rebuild the team.
And I also shout out the fact that he would be a defensive-minded coach,
without Quinn,
filling a Dan Quinn type role in a situation where I just said that the defense seems to be the bigger problem than the offense. And he still has enough of that offensive flavor, at least that kind of quarterback connection, because him and Brady were pretty tight overall. Obviously those last few years they're similar to McCarthy and Rodgers, a little discord, maybe not as friendly. But it's not like Bill Belichick fails to connect with his quarterback.
No. And again, Bill Belichick, he would have the right guy to hopefully ride the offense, and that I would trust that with the offense already kind of got its own kind of rhythm already with it. McCarthy, again, he's here because Jerry Jones wants to not lose. He doesn't want to lose face in things. He want to look like he made a bad move, and he's trying to show extra support because it saves the Joneses like a little bit of egg in their face. Roll the dice one more year, make the money, get competitive, and if they fail, he's gone anyways. So they win either way. For them, it's a win in their mind.
Yep.
And it's the clown show. That's the way we look at it. I know we got Mark dropping that $2 holler.
Yes, he did. Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate you saying Pro Football Reference is my source. Clown show.
Yeah, so PFR, which is one that we don't really use here, but again, their overall defensive grade, it sounds like they use a different stat line. Well, the stats that I've seen when it comes to rushing allowed by the Packers, when it comes to their defensive secondary and the way they cover against receivers and tight ends, is one of the worst in the league. The reason why they have probably a good ranking overall like that is because they seem to have a good passing defense, because they only they don't allow that many yards in the air. It's because everybody runs on them. So there's no, except for us, of course. So that's why I don't like the PFR reference there, because I think they're a little off. They're going on stats that are basically, they're not really looking at context, is my point there. So to me, on those numbers, when the context is the Packers don't have a good defense, and the Cowboys still shit the bed. So Belichick, I would hope, would not allow that, and on defense, we'd have shit locked up. And he's a guy that studies both sides of the ball. So look, he was a guy that I wanted. I'm with you, Mark. You're preaching to the choir. But the guy we're going to keep is this guy.
Yeah, I guess we gotta move on.
Yeah.
As well.
And Tubby decided to, even though we had success, guys, proven success with the motion, using a motion guy in motion and snapping the ball while a guy was in motion. We ended up using it 23rd most in the NFL. 15.6% of the time, we snapped the ball with a player in motion. This is what I don't understand. Our away games hurt our numbers that badly that we went away from it that badly when it came to man in motion, because we're at home, we did a lot more. This number would have been at 8%. This would have been at 8 or 9% at best if it wasn't for the fact that on home games we didn't use it at a higher click rate. The fact that we're using it at such a low rate on the road brought this number down low to 15%. And in the regular season, the first 6 weeks, we used it like 7% of the time, 4% of the time. Horrible. And it wasn't working. When we used it, our offense was more efficient. So I don't know what's going on. But obviously McCarthy, we're keeping him. And I hope he learns. All I can say is let's hope he learns from his mistakes about not snapping the ball with a guy in motion. Now, what about our man Marco Seppian? 100 points on the Stream Boss. Fully loaded. Dropping a $2 holler. I think he's got another $2 holler coming too, baby. What did the man say, Mr. Marco Seppian?
He said, McCarthy is here because he obviously blows. Jerry Jones, hey, what do you think those glory holes are for?
I'm telling you.
You're taking a tour of AT&T Stadium. Only Jerry's bathroom has it, but you can see it clearly.
I don't understand why Jerry Jones is so stuck up on these glory holes and this and that. We know it's about the mining in 1845 when he was born.
It's all about the glory.
But the point is like, he's thinking about Mike McCarthy, it seems like, right?
Hey, he's standing by his man. Honestly, like I said, it is not necessarily surprising when you consider the fact that he has allowed pretty much every other coach that he's liked enough to stay here for that length of time, right? To just kind of finish out their contract.
Yeah, but
even
again,
when it's time for them to go.
Except for those guys that suck, like Campo and the others.
I just said the guys that he likes enough. If he likes you, even if he's going to fire you, he'll let you finish out your contract and then kick rocks with socks.
Unless Jason Garrett stabs you in the back and you're Wade Phillips. Anyways, much love to Mark. Dropping another $2. There's the other $2 holler he just dropped. Hey, what did the man say?
One stat there was scoring. Green Bay was a bend, don't break.
Right, yes. We did take a talk about that, the fact that they are bend, don't break. We also talked about the fact that they were horrible in the red zone, yet they stopped us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just coaching. That's coaching and execution. It's not having this team ready. And again, the Mike McCarthy factor. Oh, there it is. Okay, there's 3 back-to-back ones right there. We missed one. He dropped 3 $2 hollers. Yeah,
Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate you. And he said, that's a great coach. He don't use what works.
That's my point. Mike McCarthy, he used it in his last 6 games or 5 games at home, but he never used it on the road as often. And you see the wins and the way the offense played. I think this is a Green Bay game. We didn't use it as often as we usually use it at home. We got our asses handed to us. And so a lot of bad in this game, all around this team. You just can't pick on one guy.
Agree.
It's just so much bad. And listen, I'm done with McCarthy. You know why? Because again, we're not getting Belichick. It's over. We are keeping Mike McCarthy, the big bubble.
And guess what? Now we got to root for him because I don't know about you. I'm not going to root for my Cowboys to fail.
No. So I got to listen. We hope that the only changes I can hope for is that, again, or changes or the good in this is that McCarthy knows the team. He knows where he failed at. Will he do it? Will he make the improvements if allowed by the Joneses? We don't know.
Will he make the necessary adjustments? Yeah. Can he figure those out?
The answer is no. Whether it's Jerry Jones not allowing him or him not wanting him, not knowing it, he wanted Schoonmaker. Boy, that was a bust. So again, I got to see a lot more from McCarthy. I don't have any confidence, zero confidence. And guys, I said this in the season that there was issues on offense and defense that I was afraid of. It was going to kill us in the playoffs, and it destroyed us in the playoffs. So to me, seeing McCarthy back there, it just brings back the trauma. We're going to do all right in the regular season. We'll win our game. Maybe we'll win the NFC East again and break that streak. Jerry Jones loves that, and that's all he wants. And after that, whatever happens in the playoffs. The longer we last, of course, the better for Jerry. But he got where he knew he wanted. He got a competitive team. So that is going to be the final. That's going to be the situation for the Cowboys for probably ever, unfortunately. When it comes to the other side, though, of things, when it comes to the other, we talked about offense a lot. McCarthy, coaching, Dak Prescott. It's time to talk about Dan Quinn as we finish up tonight. But first, the man Marco Seppian dropping another 5 on
here, Mark. He said, "I'd rather pleasure myself with sandpaper,
oh shit,
get a prostate exam, and watch The View than listen to Jerry Jones. He's delusional. I bet he praises Mozzie and Scoon too."
He did praise Mozzie, saying he's a great player or something like this. I remember recently. So
yeah, and honestly, I'm sure that if/when he's asked to defend some of his more recent moves as far as the draft and was Schoonmaker the right choice and stuff like that, I don't think they're going to ask as much about Schoonmaker as they are about Mozzie. Just throwing that out there, personally.
Yeah, well, they need to question both these fucking moves.
Oh, I don't disagree. I'm just saying that I do think Mozzie he's kind of going to eclipse the whole Schoonmaker move, is my point. He's not the big problem, necessarily. He's a problem. He's not the biggest problem.
Let's talk about the defense, though, baby. I want to stay with the defense because we'll never be done tonight. Dan Quinn. All right, Dan Quinn. Again, this is a power-packed MCF because we can skip a night or two here sometimes in a week, so we'll have to give you like a little more, give you more here on the days we go live.
MCF streams. Who's going to complain about that?
Exactly. So Cowboys in this game against the Packers have never given up more than 38 points in a playoff game. In our history, the Packers scored 48 in basically 3 quarters.
Way to go.
So that's partially the Dan Quinn issue, right? So we talk about Kyle Shanahan for the Niners. He said, a former Dan Quinn guy, right? He said that the Niners started preparing for the Packers during the second quarter of the Cowboys game.
Jesus Christ.
Adding more disrespect to the star. That's what Kyle Shanahan said today in his press conference. Now,
can you blame him, though?
Oh, no, not at all. Now, we talked about offensive motion. We're 23rd when it comes to snapping the ball while a guy's in motion. That's 9th worst in the league. But on defense, we had major issues when they did motion to us. We talked about this in the regular season. On plays with motion, the Cowboys defense posted the 3rd worst success rate among all defenses this year. So the Packers used a lot of motion with tight ends to block back on Micah and other players. They used motion a lot, and they had us going crazy in a blender, so to speak. And that is where the Dan Quinn defense speed hurts us when you don't have those the guys that are able to stay in the run gap. I saw Mozzie Smith getting shoved back 10 yards over and over again. And, it's one thing for him to do that at 330 with 330 pounds, which you got drafted at. I almost understand it when he's getting double team moving back when he's 295 pounds. Why the fuck is this happening? Is that Dan Quinn? Is that Aiden Dirty? Is that the front office? I don't know, but it's a bad move. So Dan Quinn, guys, he coached 55 games as the Cowboys defensive coordinator. 6 of his 7 worst games when it comes to accepted points average per drive came this year. 6 of his 7 worst in 3 years came this season. 5 of his worst 7 games had come in the last 2.5 months. So he's had his is his worst year in the 3 years, and these are the worst 2.5 months he's had with the Cowboys. He's been going downhill, Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn got to visit with some options for a head coach. The Panthers today completed a virtual head coaching interview with Dan Quinn. The Titans also completed their virtual interview with Dan Quinn for both, again, Panthers head coaching job. Panthers head coaching job and Titans head coaching job. Those interviews were done today. Remember, guys, when it comes to Dan Quinn, and again, he's had a busy, dance card. He has 5 teams at least now that want to see him. Just told you about 2 of them that already interviewed him. One interviewed him the other day. The Seahawks and Commanders are going to be done on Thursday. He's going to interview with them for their head coach job. Seattle's the probable one there. The Chargers, he'll interview with them on Friday for their head coaching job. But just so you guys know, I want to make sure everyone knows, these interviews all these interviews you just heard about these 5 teams are all virtual for coaches who are still remaining under contract currently to their teams, which Dan Quinn does have a contract still for next year. But that can be broken when you're getting a job like that's above your position, which would be head coach.
Yeah, if you're getting promoted, you can break that contract.
Promotion. If he gets another defensive coordinator job, you can't really promote. You can't really break the contract. But next week, these same candidates can officially meet in person with these interested teams. So expect Dan Quinn to get, re-interviewed by most of these teams, and it won't be Zoom. It'll be in person. But first, let's zoom in and hear what Mark Hovsepian said as he drops another 5 on it. Ooh. $5 holler.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you. He said, I'm gonna convert to a transgender, non-binary, or gender-neutral twink before Jerry Jones does the right thing. I seriously can't believe this. I am shocked.
It is shocking. And again, I'm assuming you're talking about Mike McCarthy, right? So I'm not sure you're talking about Dan Quinn. I know that Mark Hovsepian was very much a supporter, like I was, of Dan Quinn being the guy to take over for Mike McCarthy if McCarthy had this kind of ending to his season, right? We would figure he's out, Dan Quinn's in, and even after McCarthy maybe being out, and a lot of people, including myself, are like, I think we're done with Dan Quinn too. I got to admit that. I was like, I think we got to move on from both these guys, coaching-wise. That's why Belichick would have been perfect for this motherfucker. He would have put a guy he's going to run through, as his guy, as the defensive coordinator, and he would have put a guy who knows his shit on offense to work with Dak on as the offensive coordinator. Belichick knows his shit. But now we got McCarthy, and now we got McCarthy, who to me, even though Dan Quinn was having a lesser last couple of months, let's say, and a worse year than the last 3, still helped prop up Mike McCarthy in a way. Almost 2 head coaches in a way, right?
Again, absolutely.
Now there's none of that for Mike McCarthy.
On one hand, you can't deny the impact that Dan Quinn had on our team. You can't take that away from him either. But it just wasn't enough.
I mean, there was
that's it. Point blank period. Yeah, it wasn't enough for a variety of reasons.
Coming here when Nolan Smith or whatever his name was, horrifying defense, one of the worst, and going to Dan Quinn, what a great jump. But here's the thing, though, baby. Again, Dan Quinn, like McCarthy, has helped this team. But it looks like Dan Quinn's going to get a head coaching job somewhere else, so we're going to lose Dan Quinn. But let's look at something real quick, guys. All right? The Cowboy defense was regressing, not getting better.
Yeah.
As you heard some examples, but let me keep it going. When you look at our losses, the games we lost, since 2021, when Dan Quinn took over on defense, 2021, 22, and 23, not the games we've won, the games we lost. Look at our points per game we allowed the opposing team that beat us. In 2021, in 6 losses, including the playoffs, we allowed 27.3 points against our defense. We allowed a lot of points. We lost this game. When we lose a game, we allowed 27 points in 2021. In 2022, we had 6 losses, including the playoffs. We allowed opposing teams to score 26.83 points per game, which, again, in a way, it's around the same amount there. 27, 26, it went down a little bit. So we got better. When we lost, we didn't allow as many points still. But then this year, we allowed 33.33 points per game in our losses. In our 6 losses, once again, 6 losses, including the playoffs. The last 3 years, guys, we've had 5 regular season losses and 1 playoff loss. 6 losses. And every year, we went from 27 points allowed in losses, 26.8 points allowed in losses, to 33 point plus allowed in losses. We've lost games this year. When we lost, we've given up 33 plus points per game, guys, on average. Again, does that mean it's over? Could he rebound and have another good year? Of course he could. Yeah. But the reality is,
possible.
Didn't seem that he was trending in the right direction. It seemed like Dan Quinn's defense either was getting figured out or was not being given the right pieces from the Joneses. Whether they were too expensive, the pie is too much. The pie with the Joneses. We can't get you, a Bobby Wagner in here, which would have made a difference in this team.
Why can other teams do it with some Walmart pie?
Correct.
Huh?
Well, that's because they have a real GM. Our GM, even if it is, Will McClay in some ways, Stephen Jones in some ways, Jerry Jones in other ways, and Jerry Jones is the one that makes the final decision.
More than one GM?
None.
Tell me.
That's the problem. They have either the owner who's a GM, which usually means they suck, or they assign people that know football as their GM. Jerry Jones is not that guy. But we've known that for years and years. Doesn't matter. Either way, Dan Quinn knows defense. He helped our defense, and then was slightly, the last 2 years, definitely declining.
Yeah.
So, real quickly, I want to throw out there some names that, because we talk about Mike McCarthy, who could replace him. Here's a couple of quick names. What do you think about this, baby?
Okay, you mean Quinn, by the way.
I'm sorry, did I say McCarthy?
Yeah.
When it comes to replacing Dan Quinn, and we know we're keeping McCarthy, I said this, but we're getting rid of Quinn because he's going somewhere else.
Who steps into his shoes?
Who would be a guy, again, unless Dan Quinn decides to stay again another year, because maybe some deals have gotten lowered because of his performances, who knows? But who steps in for Quinn? It's a guy I've been saying for years that I think will step in for Quinn. I thought Quinn would be the head coach instead, but he'll be somewhere else. I think Joe Witt Jr. is basically Dan Quinn's right-hand man on defense, and he knows this particular defense. So in-house, as an in-house coach, I say promote, not Al Harris. He's got to go a little bit longer to go up that ladder. But Joe Witt Jr. has been ready to go for years as a defensive coordinator. He could take over for Dan Quinn and know our guys already. All right, he's the likeliest in-house candidate for this job. He's been our secondary coach and our passing game coordinator for the last 3 years under Dan Quinn for the Cowboys. This was also the 14th year that Joe Witt Jr. has spent on any kind of form of Mike McCarthy's staff, going back to when he was hired by the Packers in 2008 by McCarthy. But again, he was under Quinn for multiple years as well. Joe Witt Jr. kind of was his right-hand man. So Witt has helped oversee a secondary that had Trayvon Diggs, who got injured, right? DeRon Bland blossoming, but we need to get that third corner, in my opinion. But we got basically top-tier corners that he's helped develop and get to the some of the best guys in the league. And again, when it comes to the Cowboy defense, improve themselves in net yards per pass attempt in the first 3 years under the direction of Joe Witt Jr. Secondary-wise, defensive, knowing our defense, in-house-wise, Joe Witt Jr., the best candidate in-house, the most likeliest one, if he does not follow Dan Quinn to Seattle or wherever he goes. If Dan Quinn becomes a head coach somewhere, let's say in Seattle, expect Joe Witt Jr. to be his defensive coordinator. I just hope that maybe, again, if we're going to have to go defensive coordinator in-house, I hope it's Joe Witt Jr. Anyone else is probably a mistake. Right there, we had a drop from Mr. Marco Seppian, another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on it. $5 holler from Mark. What did he say?
Makes sense. Jerry Jones thinks Tubby's like Bill and Dak is Mahomes. Didn't Quinn do good, then real bad in Atlanta? To just 3 good guys on defense, all others are just okay
good point.
At best.
I mean, I don't know.
There's only one NFL score at halftime that's immortalized forever and all time. It's 28-3. And unfortunately, Dan Quinn is partially responsible for some of that.
I agree. First off, I want to say that it was Kyle Shanahan that actually blew that game with the play calling. That was in his hands.
I don't disagree.
But my point is that I agree with.
Shit rolls uphill.
And I also think that every team has 2 or 3 dominant players, and that's it. You're not gonna get many more than that, Mark. So I can't get mad at Dan Quinn on that. I'm more mad about not bringing in a solid Bobby Wagner player for Dan Quinn that the Joneses could have done with all the money we had, and we didn't do that, and that left us hanging when LV went down. It really hurt us against the run when LV went down. Marquise Bell and Damone Clark were getting fooled left and right because of motion, and left huge run gaps wide open, running lanes wide open for Aaron Jones. So if you had someone like Bobby Wagner, he ain't falling for that shit. I'm just being honest.
Exactly.
Now, what I do want to say though, when it comes to what Marco Seppian said, is it's a great point when he made real quick that when he started in Atlanta, great initial burst, interjected winning ways.
As time went on, the
trajectory went down.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you're seeing with the Cowboys. So Joe Witt Jr. to me is the best guy to replace him if he stays in Dallas. He doesn't follow Dan Quinn. When it comes to an outside guy, I think a guy, I don't have much on him. We know him from the Giants, Wink Martindale. I always think of a freaking game show host, but
press
your luck.
He sounds like he should be on some kind of wheel.
But this guy is a tough guy, an asshole type of guy. I like his coaching style. He was with the Ravens with a great defense. With the Giants, he improved them some. He was out of there after Brian Dable fired his coaching staff. He's like, well, fuck you, I'm out of here, Brian. And he's out. So I think that someone like that, who has again, he's looking for another defensive coordinator job or a head coach, but I think he just wants to stay defensive coordinator. This is Wink Martindale would be a guy who has ability to coach a team that has some decent defensive players, and we do. Another guy that you hear coming up with some options as a defensive coordinator for the Cowboys is Mike Zimmer. Familiar name to the Cowboys. Spent 13 years from 94 to 2006. 7 years as our defensive coordinator. Zimmer was the head coach of the Vikings. Remember that?
Yeah.
For 8 years before he was fired in January of 2022. And since then, he's been out of the NFL. Okay. So he could be a defensive coordinator kind of guy. The Cowboys were always interested in him. He was a previous guy. And also important to note that Zimmer has experience experienced success coaching both the 3-4 defense and the 4-3 defensive scheme. So there's ways we can get.
It's actually really good for us.
Yeah, we could get Micah and like another guy on the outside as our blitzing linebackers. We can go 3, 4, or 5 guys going in, making things a little more, maybe a little more disguised. I don't know. Just an idea.
You have to wonder the direction that our possible future defensive coordinator could take our draft in that sense, right?
That's true.
Because I'm just saying
that would change.
We know the types of guys that Dan Quinn favored. Definitely a lot of speed and athletic ability over maybe pure raw strength and power and muscle. So
with a 3-4 scheme, you have the outside blitzers already. We just would need inside stoppers. And I don't know if you want Damone Clark only with Marquise Bell.
Yeah,
you'd want to get bigger guys inside. You
Clark
need 2
is too
guys.
much of a finesse guy for that kind of heavy hitting.
You'd have to have
too small.
I think he can do it though as a secondary guy, not Marquise Bell being the secondary guy, and he's the first guy. So no LVE. You got to have someone like it has to be a guy, let's say like a Bobby Wagner with Damone Clark. That would work in a 3-4 defense with Mike on the outside, maybe DeMarcus Lawrence, although he won't be here probably, but like a Sam Williams on the outside as the outside linebackers, but they can drop back in coverage sometimes, they can blitz, they can go one or the other, but you always have the 3 guys in the middle, and you have 2 outside guys. That would be a way. Zimmer knows both defenses is the point. He can work with either or. So that would be important on how they would work the rest of the staff here. He has deep coaching. Mike Zimmer has deep coaching contacts to fill out a staff of other defensive coaches, which is, keep an Al Harris and keep a couple other guys, but he'll bring most of his guys in there that follow Quinn out of town. Zimmer is well regarded by the Jerry Jones family and is said to be looking to make a return to the NFL. So keep Mike Zimmer as the defensive coordinator to replace Dan Quinn. Also, one last name, Jerry Montgomery. You're like, who? The first 2 names, we know that they have their expertise in the secondary with Zimmer and Joe Witt Jr. But with Jerry Montgomery, somebody who would be more like Rod Marinelli or Dan Quinn. They started from the trenches. They work with the defensive line, the interior defense. Packers defensive line coach and running game coordinator, his name is Jerry Montgomery. Again, probably some connection with Mike McCarthy there, right? Popular name right now in coaching circles. He's only 44 years old, developed a reputation as a coach that develops toughness and physicality on defense. That'd be nice to have. Montgomery joined Mike McCarthy's Green Bay Packers in 2015, spent 4 years with McCarthy before McCarthy left in 2018. Montgomery was one of the few coaches that the Green Bay Packers retained when Matt LaFleur was hired in 2019. So obviously a hot coach, defensive-minded, tough, physical. Mike McCarthy knows him. Jerry Montgomery, a guy that could come to Dallas and be a defensive coordinator to replace Dan Quinn. Those are 4 names I just laid out for you guys. Outside of Dan Quinn not getting his dream job and staying in Dallas, I'm curious what the family thinks before we get to the final part, which is contracts. Guys are going to be cut from this team. And I know some of you guys can't wait to hear that. So what are some of the thoughts? I saw Mr. Mark Hovsepian drop a $5 holler here.
Yes, he did. He said.
Hit me with it.
What I mean is, all other guys in D are very, very okay. Where is solid? But seriously, how many teams would start Armstrong, Fowler, Mozzie, or our second, run, defensive end?
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with that. I mean, Armstrong.
Fowler,
some guys will start Armstrong, believe it or not. Fowler, no. Mozzie, no way. Sam Williams, not yet. You know what I mean? So I hear you, man. I understand and I agree that we need some better mid-round kind of supportive cast kind of guys. We can't have such a drop-off from our star players. I think that's what Mark is saying. Too much drop-off from our star players. We're not going to have 5-star players on defense. But we have 3 star players, and the other guys got to have less of a drop-off to have to be a supporting cast to the stars. Anyways, we got the man Marco Seppian. Another one, too, J. Lou. Dollar holler. What did the man say?
You need 3 huge boo-boos for 3-4. We only got Hankins.
Bubbas. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I said boo-boos.
That's what I'm trying to say. I understand. We need 3 big guys. We need like a 5-tech and like a 4-tech, 5-tech guy. Which we're talking about. Like Osa would have to play one side, and then like you said, like Mozzie had to play the other side, and inside would be Hankins. That would be our 3-man lineup. And is that why they made Mozzie lose 25, 30 fucking 5 pounds? I don't understand why they did this, but he's now like a 3-tech with Osa. They play 3 or 4-tech. That works. But yeah, usually you need guys that are bigger inside if you're going to run the 3 interior guys and the 2 outside blitzers. Our guys, I don't think, are big enough to handle that. So that you said maybe draft, maybe. But you don't want to draft another Mozzie Smith situation, right? Especially if we're going to make him lose 35 pounds. So I hear you there, Mark. We are on the same page. So Dan Quinn, on the way out of here, we just gave you a bunch of names that could be. I don't know if anybody had any thoughts about the names I threw out there. Montgomery, Zimmer, Joe Witt Jr., Wink Martindale.
Hankins is the only run stopper we have.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Mike Aldana said, "Why don't we bring back Mark Colombo while we're at it?"
Offensive line coach. Well, we'll see what happens when it comes to McCarthy. He's staying, so he'll probably keep Mike Soliari as our offensive line coach.
Frame Rippers, a.k.a. Voodoo Alpha.
Voodoo.
Appreciate you. Much love. He's been talking some great comments all night, but he said, Mark, you nailed it. And because of that lack of D-line depth, Micah is forced to play defensive edge. Now he likes it because it's a stay-driven position that will get him a massive payday. Oh, well.
Well,
and again, look,
yeah.
I'm a firm believer in the use Micah where he's suited best category, so I don't care where the heck that is or how much that ends up getting him paid, so to speak. If he's producing for our team at a high volume or at a high level, I should say, then even better, more power.
If Micah Parsons playing at edge, he's that. Listen, I want to make sure Frame Rippers understands that's the best place for him to be. But to move him around, be more effective on the A gaps over center, on the left side, the right side, moving back at linebacker sometimes, that is viable when you have bigger guys inside that you can handle the run with, right? And that's what I think that's Voodoo's saying, Frame Rippers. I think that's what Marco Seppian's saying, and I am saying the same thing. There's a play, baby. It was like a 3rd down and like 13. And that's a blitzing play. That's a play you use Micah to get in there. You know what Dan Quinn did? He dropped Micah back in coverage.
That's a mistake.
You don't do that on a 3rd and 13. They got a 1st down, by the way.
We also pointed out, and I know you've mentioned this before, but, I think Green Bay, unfortunately, did a great job of using Micah's speed against us in these situations. Like, it felt like a bull with the matador just going, ole.
He was overrunning a lot because he was doing his job, but they used the misdirection very well.
But yeah, credit to Green Bay for effectively managing Micah. What more can you say there?
No, I agree.
Unfortunately,
I agree. Listen. Here's the thing, baby. As we turn the page to the final portion of things, money. I meant money. Money. Speaking of a little love, Marco Seppian dropping that 5 on it. We're gonna talk about money contracts in a moment, starting with Micah. But Mark has something to say first. What did he say with that $5 holler?
Thank you, Mark. He said, "You realize Tubby made a ton of coaches change to help the run game and it didn't work." Tubby has a history of poor coaches like our defensive coordinator a few years back.
Yeah. Nolan, his buddy, remember?
Yeah.
Brought him in there, big fail.
Can I just throw this out here? Maybe the whole Nepotism Club 101 thing should be left at the door here in regards to the NFL. Nothing wrong with hiring your buddy as long as he's qualified, but if you just keep bringing your little high school pals in to come hang out with you or whatever the heck,
that's
you're never
trouble.
going to get your work done. You're never going to do what you're supposed to do. So.
Yeah. And it showed definitely in the first couple of years of McCarthy. It's showing in the way he gets them ready for games every time, big games. And it's a big downfall for McCarthy in my mind, now knowing the way he coaches. And my brother always mentioned that McCarthy's not a good coach. And I always thought he had some good coaching abilities. He did help our offense, but overall, he's not setting the right tone. Look, when it comes to, we know where we fail a lot, baby. The way this clown show makes decision on money. So first guy up I want to talk about, because NFL Fox put out a little graphic about what we have in front of us here this offseason with money. Micah Parsons right now is looking to hit about $35 million. $35 million contract per year. All right? So that's one of our guys that are going to be raking in some cash money.
The first domino, so to speak.
Yeah, $35 million. What about CeeDee Lamb? Oh,
even with his atrocious playoff performance, I have a feeling CeeDee is about to put some
CeeDee Lamb
ching behind his name.
He's going to play at $19 million next year on the contract that he has, but the numbers that are looking at for him for a receiver of his caliber, you know what the numbers are? $30 million. So up $11 million on top of the contract he has in place now for the 5th-year option. $30 million a year for CeeDee Lamb. But wait, there's more. What about starting quarterback Dak Prescott? $55 million is the number that people are looking at right now for Dak Prescott's number. $55 million. So you got $35 from Micah Parsons, $30 million for CeeDee Lamb, $55 for Dak Prescott. Oh boy, we got some issues going on when it comes to the money we gotta have to spend to keep some of these great players, right? Great, good, average. Overpriced, overpaid, who knows? Maybe some, maybe not. But let me just kind of make a comment here, a couple things. Do you know, here's our free agents heading into this 2024 season. This is the offseason, all right? The Cowboys have 16 players ready to hit free agency this offseason. Let me know, keep in mind any names that you would say let's keep. Tony Pollard, Stephon Gilmore, Dorrance Armstrong, Tyron Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Jaron Kearse, Jordan Lewis, Dante Fowler, Noah Igbenogany, Neville Gallimore, Jonathan Hankins, C.J. Goodwin, Chuma Edoga, long snapper Trent Sieg, running back Rico Dowdle, tight end Sean McEwen. Is there anybody there you really would say we got to go looking at him? To me, Tyron Smith.
Yes.
He's somebody that the way he's been managed, it seems to work.
I'm also going to include Tyler Smith on that list just because why would you want to mess with the O-line?
You mean Tyler Biadasz?
Biadasz.
Yeah, not Tyler
Smith.
Smith.
Too many Tyrons and Tylers. So my point is Tyron Smith, yes, I agree. Tyler Biadasz, like I said, I just think that with the way the O-line situation is, and if you're talking consistency from McCarthy, I could easily see them making the argument consistency for the O-line
It's also connection, with Biadasz, it's more with Dak, the connection he has with Dak. But
remember, he's a center. It's a little different.
You could also draft the best center in the second round. And then maybe you can work with that. And, he's better than Biadasz. So we'll have to see what happens. But money's going to be tight. When you have the extensions, like I said, for Dak, CeeDee Lamb, the deal for Micah Parsons, right? I just talked about the three numbers, 30, 35, and $55 million. So if we're going to add external guys, how we're going to add external free agents. And I just gave you a list of guys that you can make a claim for. Like I said, Tyron Smith, Tyler Biadasz, Stephon Gilmore. I don't know about Jordan Lewis. I don't think Tony Pollard or Dorrance Armstrong. I think you could get a guy like C.J. Goodwin in the house again. I think Jonathan Hankins you can bring back for cheap, right? But pretty much everybody else is bye-bye outside of Tyron Smith and a couple others I just mentioned. But there's guys we have in this team we can still get rid of and save money. So I'll get to that in a minute. First, let's get to Marco Sepien's another $5 on it. Another $5 holler from the man, Mark. What did he say?
Cracking me up because I know I saw Jared in the chat earlier saying, what kind of sandpaper or something like that. Or Marco Sepien said, I got some sandpaper. Good night and aloha.
Yes.
Watch them pay Dak top 5. No way we can afford Dak's huge top 5 and sign all these guys. How's Gallup and Coop?
Listen, you are just literally reading my mind. That's what we're going to talk about right now. I know he's saying good night. I hope he stays around for the last couple of minutes. as we wrap this up, Mr. Mark Hovsepian, leading the overall board right now. 100 points fully loaded on that stream, boss. Much appreciation to him. But like I said, baby, what do you think about keeping, for example, re-signing Jonathan Hankins, as 90% of you guys already mentioned, the only guy that can stop the run. So Jonathan Hankins, for $1.5 million, you keep him here. That's a no-brainer. I think also long snapper Trent Sieg, he's cheap. You keep him. He didn't miss one freaking long snap.
Let's maintain that consistency there.
I think you got someone like Tyron Smith. I'm sorry, C.J. Goodwin. I think he would keep him. I think you agree with that, right?
Yeah. Again,
special teams, very cheap.
We missed him desperately on special teams.
So those three guys, without question. Tyron Smith, I think you got to find a way of keeping him. Tyler Biadasz, I don't think you have to keep him. I think you can get draft a better center if you really wanted to. If you want to go grab a guy in free agency, you're not going to have money. You might have to sign Biadasz. Gilmore will probably be too much money, but we need to get that third cornerback in some way. Jordan Lewis is not that guy, in my opinion. He played better at the end of the year, but I think he'll be too costly for us. Forget about Pollard with the running back situation. We just draft a running back. Armstrong, we got enough edge rushers. Time for him to go. We'll get a nice compensatory pick for him. But what about the guys that are here? Like Mark was talking about, what about the guys that are still here that we can still move on from? Let me give you some names. Listen to this. Tell me what you think, baby.
Okay.
Because the Joneses going to have to make the moves here. They're the ones with the money piles.
Decisions to make here.
They got money piles. So what about some cap casualties? Some guys we get rid of, take a small cap hit, but open up money for us this year. DeMarcus Lawrence.
I can easily see that one.
I'll explain in a minute because the man Mark Hovsepian dropping another $5 holler on the top of things. What did the man say?
Ooh, thank you, Mark. He said, remember when I said, we did the ends. Yeah, so remember when I said our drafts weren't as good as peeps say? We have to sign some of these very okay guys as we have no depth. We're screwed on the D-line. So... And I get your major point here.
The misses on the draft are costing us now.
And it also forces us to lock in, different answers and maybe necessarily some of the other problems that we have going on. And that's because they always just have to put out the biggest fire.
Agree. And that's why we need to bring in a coach that's a defensive coordinator that knows what the fuck to do here. And figure it out. Whether it's a new scheme, a different scheme, we got the players to work with a good defense to start off with.
Well, we'll leave that to whoever comes in to replace Dan Quinn.
Yeah.
But yes,
I agree with Mark. But that starts with this: what do you do with DeMarcus Lawrence? Do you cut him? If you cut him pre-June 1st, you're only saving $2.5 million. But if you cut him after,
every little bit counts.
If you pull a Zeke and cut him post June 1st. You're saving $10 million.
Oof.
So again, we right now we're eating like $30 million on him. So we'd still eat $20 million of dead money, but we'd save 10 if we got out of it and got that post June 1st. So DeMarcus Lawrence is $10 million post June 1st. What about Michael Gallup? Guys, he's gone. I'm telling you this right now. Gallup pre June 1st, it's $800,000. It's not worth it, right? But post June 1st, we're going to save $9.5 million.
I mean, yeah, that's tremendous.
So,
especially considering that, let's be real, Michael Gallup should have never been signed to that type of contract in the first place.
Also had his best game of the year, by the way, his first 100-yard game.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and this loss to the Packers. So,
although maybe that helps us. Maybe that shows people there's more juice left in the tank or something.
Well, either way, he's not going to get traded. Neither is DeMarcus Lawrence. These guys are going to be cap casualties. Right there, we save almost $20 million on the current cap that we're getting, guys. Remember, Gallup's going to be hitting us for like $11-12 million this year. So we're going to have to eat like $3 or $4 million, but we still get $9.5 back. DeMarcus Lawrence is going to eat up like $30 million, but now it only eats up $20 million, and we get 10 back. So in a way, we're getting about $20 million on both these guys. On a quick look, if we decide to go away from DeMarcus Lawrence, who had his back-to-back really good years, his two best back-to-back years he ever had, but is he expendable? The answer may be yes on this, especially without DeMarcus,
to me, it comes
without
down
Dan Quinn.
Two factors. One, money.
And
of course, always money. And two, not just who comes in, but who do we blame for this loss more?
Well,
because if it does end up falling more on the defense, which I do think it will, expect to see a lot more personnel changes on defense.
Again, no DeMarcus Lawrence means Sam Williams steps up. And I don't have a problem with that. He needs to step up or step out.
My goodness, I think I'd rather keep Tank.
I know, but the issue is his discipline. So then that's what
I said. I think I'd rather keep Tank.
Untrustworthy for Sam Williams. Again, Tank for an extra $10 million, not sure. And then you're just regressing and not letting Sam Williams even get any real consistency out there in the field, although maybe you don't deserve it. What about LVE? Leighton Vander Esch.
LVE needs to retire.
$2.5 million post or pre June 1st.
Okay.
We saved $2.5 million, so he's gone. I'm just letting you guys know. I mean, I guess we can keep him. Again, a lot of this depends on who takes over as coach on defense.
He really just needs to retire, personally.
So right now we got like $22 million.
Okay.
If we get rid of DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Gallup, and LVE, we cut them. What about Cooper Rush? Is it Trey Lance time? I say yes. Trey Lance getting peanuts. Cooper Rush getting $2.25 million that we can save.
I remember you mentioned it back when we got Trey Lance and all that stuff, that this is your expectation.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Just based on the contracts and on the way we brought him in and everything else.
Trey Lance is worth too much. The 4th-round pick we gave up for him on a rookie contract that the Cowboys are still going to be paying on. They're not getting rid of Trey Lance. He will be the project player for next year as the backup to Dak Prescott. In my opinion, Cooper Rush gets cut. We get $2.5 million back on him, $2.25. So to me, now we're at like $24 million, almost $25 million of save money with these four of these cuts here. What about Bryant Anger? Now, I'm hesitant on him because he's such a good punter, but at the same time, he's going to save us $3 million. So Anger, a Pro Bowler twice out of the 3 years he's been with us. Do you cut a great punter like him to save $3 million? Now you're at about...
Maybe negotiate with him. Maybe he's going to take a bit of a...
there's no need for him to do that. He'll go somewhere else and get easily $3. So he cost us $3 million this year. I hope we can restructure it, but let's say we cut him. We're at like... I'm going to just round it to $28 million is where we're at right now with cutting Bryant Anger, Cooper Rush, LVE, Gallup, and DeMarcus Lawrence. We're at $28 million, but we're not done yet. We're going to get to 30 here with 2 other guys. Our last 2 guys we can cut, and that's Chauncey Golston, who's been helpful, but he's more of a Dan Quinn guy. I think Dan Quinn used him as best. Nashawn Wright is definitely a Dan Quinn guy. We cut both these guys. We get $1.2, $1.3 million each. So, again, much love, by the way, to Jay Montez, 520 in the house.
Thank you for summing it up. I appreciate you.
Welcome to the family here at MCF. So, you got 28, 29, 30. You got $30 million, guys. $30 million saved on the cap. Hey, we got CeeDee Lamb for a year. But $30 million in the cap if you release DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Gallup, Leighton Vander Esch, Cooper Rush, Bryant Anger, Chauncey Golston, and Nashawn Wright. I mean, shit. Just for Nashawn Wright, or let's say Chauncey Golston, right there you get Jonathan Hankins back. You guys understand? So that's a no-brainer. It's right there. I mean, I'd trade Chauncey Golston away to get Jonathan Hankins back in the mix, help to stop the run. I'm just saying, there's ways you can find ways to get these contracts to fit a guy you really want on this team to keep, or a guy you want to get, or a guy you have to put money towards in a contract extension, like Micah, CeeDee Lamb, or Dak Prescott. And that's it. That's my quick list there, guys, of players the Cowboys can look at to maybe move on. It's up to this clown show front office to make those decisions. But, baby, I do want to know what the chat has to say about any of these comments I made about these players, if they're expendable or not. I know you kind of made your comment. I think you agree with pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we can move on and open up $30 million. It may be worth it to do that if we want to try to make... Again, it comes down to who is hired on defense and, what else the change we do.
Out there, Hankins must be paid. We'll be screwed without him.
And, getting paid for Hankins, $1.3 million, $1.5 million at most. Please pay him.
Jared Jones, by the way. I can pay them in crypto under the table with our partners at blockchain.
That's something that the real Jared Jones would say. I hear you, Jared.
It'll be worth $12. I'm messing with you there, Jared. So, kind of rolling back a little bit here. No, we kind of more or less touched on most of them. See, Bass said Gallup, he's gone.
Yeah, he's
Gallup's
a goner. And that's $9 million, $9.5 million you're saving with Gallup. We'll take the $3 million hit. We'll take the $3 million hit and absorb it, and release $9.5 million easy money there.
Thank you, Malcolm Harmon.
Malcolm Harmon, welcome to the family. Go Cowboys. You know the deal.
Always. Matt Batten also throwing out there, TJ Bass is a stud. We should use him more on the O-line next season.
I mean, him, and I saw somebody also mention about Brock Hoffman, as a center. Those are options that we can go with. It's just, when you think of undrafted, I don't know if I can roll. I don't think I could sit there and protect Dak and block for whoever the running back is with those guys consistently. As backups, Brock Hoffman, fantastic. I like his attitude. As a backup, TJ Bass, I like him. But as a starter, we're going backwards in a way. We're going back to what hurt us in the first place, using these guys almost the Farniaks, and they had a good game, and we keep him for 3 years, and he's trash. So we have to balance expectations with guys that don't prove enough yet, haven't shown enough, weren't drafted for a reason. Undrafted, yeah, we got some diamonds in the rough, but we gotta use them the right way. And throwing in TJ Bass and Brock Hoffman, starting in there, that would be a problem in my mind. I want to get someone, solid at the very least. Now, I'd prefer someone better than solid, obviously. Tough to do with the offensive lineman in recent years. A lot thinner choices to pick from. A lot less to pick from when it comes to really good offensive line. That's why most of the time it's a first rounder for the Cowboys, and we make them always big time players, Pro Bowlers, All Pros, and Hall of Famers. Is Tyler the next one? After Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, is Tyler Smith the next one? Knock on wood, he is one of our keys going forward with the offensive line. Mm-hmm. So much love there with the comment there. Again, great stuff. I think we're about to wrap it up here in a minute or two, but I wanted to make sure that we all kind of on the same page when it comes to a lot of these moves that we maybe have to make, whether it is re-signing guys or not re-signing guys, but also, who do we release from contract to release and open up some salary cap money. So we'll see. That's a question. It's coming soon to an MCF channel, to an MCF live stream near you. As we got the man Marco Sepien with another $5 holler as he has the lead on the overall board, coming for that sponsor of the week, but also Stream Boss in it. What did Mark have to say, baby?
He said, look at defensive edge. Just cut D-Law, and then who replaces him? Sam? Zero depth on D-line. And our O-line? We need 2 tackles and a center. No depth. D-Law isn't too much money, but he has no rush.
No pass rush, yeah. So a lot of things to the side there, but that means we have, again, eating the $10 million.
The no pass rush to me is almost a lesser secondary type of thing, especially if you're there as a run. Specialist, run-stopping specialist. But
DeMarcus Lawrence was signed as a pass rushing specialist.
He was.
And that's what he got paid for, and that's what he didn't do.
I know, but that's why not what money. He ended up developing into. I'll tell you that.
Which is a problem for us. And that's, Mark is a great point about what's the depth behind him. The depth is Sam Williams. That's what he was drafted for. So you either make a move with him, or you pick up a free agent, which you don't have money for. The Cowboys have to have these guys step up. If they don't, then we won't do well. And Sam Williams, undisciplined as he is, hard to trust him. I liked him. I thought he had high potential, but he's too undisciplined right now, and that puts a big damper in my hopes for him going forward. So going forward here at MCF, it's a wrap tonight here, baby. Much love to everybody who dropped the love from above, and let me shout out James Davis in the membership,
Woo!
The Lunatic in the star level membership, Prince NY, much love, Calvin Richard with a couple drops, JD from DC repping in enemy territory, and the man Marco Sepien, the multiple drops today, keeps his first place status guaranteed, takes over Stream Boss fully loaded guaranteed, coming for that sponsor of the week. And he's coming for it. That's a guarantee. You can see Marcus coming for that top spot. Much love to Mark, his comments, his thoughts on how we mix it up here. We agree, we disagree, but deep down inside, we're on the same page, Mark. I hear you. Appreciate your knowledge in here, and I hope we keep hearing your thoughts here as we're not gonna be live necessarily every single day, guys. A lot of stuff in the next 2 months going on.
I know.
So we're gonna we'll definitely be doing stuff at least every other day, sometimes, like tomorrow we're probably going to go live again, but we got to probably skip Friday. So, we're going to figure it out and get a little routine going, but you can bet when we come back, we'll bring in the news info and updates, the discussions with you guys, and, keeping it here, and on the MCF After Dark. If you guys hang out on that channel, you'll see me sometimes go live, although it will not be tonight. You'll see me go live probably on Tuesdays and Fridays on those nights on the other channel, and the rest of the week here live on MCF. So keep it in mind, we're going to do that for the offseason for a little bit until we get closer to either big deals, big signings, free agency, re-signings, coaching moves, whatever it is. And of course, the NFL draft, which things will get heated up. We'll be going. I know the wife will be a lot more involved in all of our streams during that time as well. So, and it'll have more overall. But just wanted to throw it out there. We appreciate you guys, with your thoughts, your comments. We had like 70, 80 people in here throwing their thoughts on things. Of course, appreciate your drops of love from above. We cannot do this for as long as we do it for almost every single day and night here on MCF with videos and shorts that we put out there as well. Without your love and support, not just with your comments, but your drops of love, whether it's membership, gifting memberships, Cash App. Speaking of all that, got to shout out the man with the Cash App King and the sponsor of the week, Snug X. You know why he's here. Much love to him. Skeptical Fan is our membership gifting champion. Extra special love to the man staying skeptical, while Marco Seppian running the show with 100 points in the Stream Boss. Right now, the current overall leader on the board. And so he's got 2 out of the 3, 2 out of the next week's leaders right now dominating. But there is no Cash App leader. Nobody in the Cash App so far this week, and nobody in the gifting membership side this week. So no one's getting gifted memberships right now. You got to jump in on your own, but I'm sure others will drop love eventually through there, and you'll have some emojis to drop as we change it up pretty much every week anyways here throughout the year. Even without games going on, there's always something relative in the emojis that speak to our feelings on things. So guys, appreciate everybody in all the levels, the Navy Blue, Silver Star, and Over Everything crew. Can't do any of this without your guys' love and support. Here, as we got we got 6.5 years on My Cowboys Family on YouTube. We want that 6th Super Bowl, and fucking fortunately, not happening this season. Anyways, baby. Hit up the chat in the sense of shout-outs. The shout-outs, the final kind of drips of comments.
Of course.
As we get ready to head out here for the night.
Start with the final drip here.
All right.
Mr. Marco Seppian, much love with the $2 holler.
There you go, dripping.
He's asking you, Mr. MCF, what stat line do you like to use? I know you use a few different ones, don't you?
We use
like more than one?
Well, it depends on what it's for. Like when it comes to like next gen stats and PFF, was it PFF is what? Pro Football Focus, yeah. So PFF and Next Gen for analytics, but it depends on what it's for and what they're measuring. I use both of these stat lines outside of the regular basic stats. I also use these as guides more than it is factual must-be stats. When I look at pressure stats by the defensive line, when I look at pass rush win rate from the defensive line or offensive line when it comes to pass block win rate, and I like what Next Gen and PFF do when it comes to their numbers there and how they come up and formulate some of these things. But I also like to use like I think specifically Next Gen. I like to use what they do sometimes when they bring it down to more specific coverage numbers and targets allowed and that kind of stuff. Because when I look at like the Green Bay Packer defense secondary, they were like 28th against opposing wide receivers in allowing them to dominate them, basically in whether it was allowing yards after the catch, passing touchdowns. They were 28th in the league against receivers. Tight ends, they were 22nd against receivers. They were 28th against tight ends. I like those numbers. That's Next Gen, kind of looking into like more specific details of the game. But when I look at those numbers and I see the Green Bay defense in context, I think the Cowboys missed a chance to really, attack more of their weaknesses in that secondary. So, and that's the way it goes. But hey, everybody uses different stat lines and different groupings and things. It just depends on what you're looking for and what you're trying to gauge. To me, it's more not a fact, more of a guide for me.
Yeah, and it's also more of a collective in that sense, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So.
Yeah, I like to use a couple different places, right? So, yeah, you got We all do different things. But hey, I appreciate you, Mark, dropping the knowledge here with us, dropping the love. Love, again, can't say enough about the support that Mark brings to the table. And I love the other viewpoints that sometimes we don't think about here being brought up by Mark a lot of the times that kind of, give us a good conversation to bring up things that, hey, a couple days, a couple weeks, a couple years later, we'll say, Mark was right or Mark was wrong, whatever it may be. But we can still look at things and discuss things, and it's great to, at least know that in the end, we all, no matter what our views are and who's good or not, we all want that 6 and beyond as Cowboy fans. That's what we all want.
So let me go ahead and read
some
of the final comments here and do the final shout-outs, right? Marco Seppian saying to me, comes down to points, giving them up. No, it comes down to points, given up. Let them move the ball, but don't let them score. Green Bay gave up a lot of yards, but gave up 10th least points.
Yes, I hear so.
A very bend-don't-break team.
Right, his stat, we had discussed that about Green Bay being a bend-don't-break team. Horrible in the red zone, though, yet we couldn't take advantage of a lot of those things. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying. That's why I'm saying it's a guide, because these things are brought up. There's guides on how you can move down the field on the Packers, but you can see where they're good at as well, and where they bend and don't break and don't give up the touchdowns. As long as if you get to the 30-yard line, they give up field goals. But if you get to the 19-yard line, they usually give up touchdowns. That was the way we broke them down, using all of these different formats of breaking down the Green Bay defense. So I don't like to pick only one thing. You know what I mean, Mark? I like to pick 3 things. Like, I don't mind using Pro Football Reference, but also PFF and also Next Gen, because it gives you a bigger, rounder, a bigger, wider picture of what you're looking at. And you can also look at the context factors of their defense. Where they're stronger, they let you out of the red zone, they're strong. But once they let you in the red zone, they're weak. And when it comes to passing, they allowed a lot of yardage and key stats to receivers and tight ends. We didn't take advantage of either of that, really. On top of that, Dak was off, CD was really off, and, we had other issues going on in this game. So anyways, we're on the same page. Mark, appreciate you and your thoughts. Let's finish up the comments.
Of course.
Clock it out here, baby, on another longer MCF live stream tonight.
Bar, much love, saying, I seriously thought we were going to go farther than this.
Oh, yeah, we all did, brother. We all did.
Matt Batten, appreciate you, thank you. Frame Rippers, of course, in the house, saying, can't talk about football until the franchise thinks like football and not an entertainment team.
Yeah, they treat it like entertainment. That's what we're getting from the Joneses.
Yeah, it's definitely
a reality show.
You could say it's entertaining in some ways. Anyway, let me keep rolling here with the shout-outs. Bruce got the Toxic Juice. Thank you for being here. Jared Jones, of course. Jason Renfro, much love. We have... Let me see. C. Bass, thank you for being here as well.
Bass in the house.
House Nelson in the house. Antoine Scott, what's up? Elazar Leos in the house. We have, let me see. Just kind of rolling back here for a bit. Dave McKnight. Even you. Yes, even you.
I see Freedom First in here. Mike Aldana. Angel Dog 4, Jura, House Nelson in the house, a couple others here, of course, Marco Seppian, Frame Rippers.
Yeah, I think that's everybody here.
We got them.
So
we got
again,
everybody.
Huge shout out to everybody here. Taking a second to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us anywhere and everywhere at MyCowboysFamily. Hop in the Discord, links down below.
All the winners from the raffle, make sure from the Lunatic raffle, bringing it strong. Make sure you get back to us. I know Stanley Smith, feel better. I know he will be giving us his information of who he wants with jersey-wise. Who is also there? Stephanie Willis.
Yeah.
And somebody else. I know we got the info from Juan Carlos. We needed one more other person, but we said it earlier in the stream.
Was it Skeptical? No.
I don't think so.
It was Jason.
Jason Renfro.
Oh, yeah. I think I
was the other one, yeah.
just in case he had a question about one of the jerseys.
Again, guys, make sure you get back to us on at MyCowboysFamily. I'm sorry, MyCowboysFamily at gmail.com so we can get that shipped out as early and fast as fast as possible to all 4 of you, the big winners there from the Lunatic raffle. And of course, like I said, you can't do this without you guys' love and support, but baby, because we relock and reload for another one tomorrow, I want to know from you, what do we got to do here? Why do we do this here on My Cowboys Family each and every night, even after the horrific Sunday massacre that we experienced, an embarrassment from our Cowboys? Why do we do this each and every night here on My Cowboys Family?
It's that navy blue, that silver too, and that star over everything.
Win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or ugly. On this channel, we rep that star over everything and everyone. Player, coach, owner, star over all of them. And never forget, guys, 6 years plus on YouTube here on My Cowboys Family. Never forget the number one thing here, now, and forever. As always, no matter what, never forget it. Go Cowboys! As my shirt says. Let's get that 6 and beyond.
Always.
Starting next year.
Even
next year.
Even if we're back to square one.
Yeah, I'm not going to be one of these people that say, just, hey, next year, guys. I'm just going to say, we're fans for life. And if you're a fan for life, these are the tough times. You don't stop being a fan, even if you hate the fucking ownership and other issues of the team. You rep that star over everything here on MCF. Guys, thank you for dropping your knowledge in the chat. Literally, all night long. All night. Mark's talking about the sandpaper. That's a private conversation. Guys, thank you for dropping your knowledge all night long on our Cowboys. I appreciate the good, bad, and ugly. And we talk about it with you guys. Talk it through with you all. We learn, you learn, we all learn. Also, we learn that we know that we have the best fans of all YouTube. Thank you guys for your drops of love and support through membership, through Cash App, through Super Chat, through whatever. Thank you for your love and support on all those fronts. Baby, as we relock and reload tomorrow, probably for a quickie show on a Thursday night. But you have to skip the Friday show this week. But baby, as we get ready for tomorrow's show and bring up everybody up to the Mike McCarthy press conference and all the things I'm sure he's going to talk about, what do we got to do here on this side for tonight before we drop out for the night?
We got to drop the beat.
Oh, yeah. Let's get that 6 and beyond starting in the 2024 season. Thank you all again, guys, for repping it here with us and hanging with us, listening to us, and go back and forth with you guys on our Cowboys. That's what it's about here on MCF and here on My Cowboys Family. We must have it's a official wrap as we got another Cowboys chat in the books. Coaches. 3 available that are pretty solid. There's a couple more. Cowboys decided to say, no, we want more tub. We want more rub-a-dub-dub here. We wanted more bubble. Jerry said, after all the options, let's go with McCarthy again. I mean, we do win 12 games a year and then lose in the playoffs. Why not? You heard what we said. I'm sure we'll hear more about Dan Quinn and others tomorrow, but for now, here in MCF, never forget the number one thing, the reason why we do this, that navy blue, that silver too, that star over everything here in MCF, and never ever forget the number one thing here in My Cowboys Family. Much love to everyone in the house. Appreciate you all. Make sure you don't forget to hit the like button for the stream, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that notification bell to all videos so you know when we're going live, and follow us at My Cowboys Family at all social media, X, Twitter, and beyond. Guys, have a safe night. Much love to all. Stay safe. We'll see you back here tomorrow for another one. But for now, peace. And never ever forget, Go Cowboys!
Monk on the beat.